Celebrating 15 years of Rabbit and Red Radio. Now here's your hosts, the King of Porntown and Michael J.
Producer Mike! Oh, now that's an intro. Hell yes. I highly approve.
We almost
That's
didn't make it into the studio on time.
Yeah, because you had a countdown. Yeah, you had a countdown that was all wonky. I was like, what is this, a SpaceX rocket? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and then when I go, I'm just sitting there and I'm watching the intro, and then I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to add us, and I'm trying to like move the mouse to click us so we're in here by the time that,
Never a dull moment. See, we keep it exciting. Welcome, folks. As you see, it is Thursday. It is that time for Rabbit and Red Radio. As always, it is I, Theo, the King of Porntown. And that's an official title, kind of like the assistant to the regional manager.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, it is Theo, that one weirdo. And with me, as always, is Producer Mike!
There we go. In the fucking sun. Shooting.
I was going to say.
I gotta get a blocker or something. Because it's just like shooting into my eyes.
I've seen you turn before where it's like you're like ducking the light, but this is like the first time you're really not. You look like powder from that movie.
Yeah, I know, because it's like I can't move anywhere. The only thing I can do is like come down here, and I don't want to be that close. It just seems weird if I'm that close. So I'm just like,
it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that way you're not blinded.
I mean, I think I have to until the sun starts like going down, because otherwise I think I will blind myself if I keep looking into the sun,
Yeah, that's definitely don't blind yourself. I mean, yes, we will suffer for our art, but I don't want you to have like fucking early cataracts because of it.
Yeah, no, I don't need that. I definitely don't need that. Holy shit, that would be, oh my god. And then I tried to get us, because like, okay, so how like normally when you go into the main segment, you say it's time for the main event and things like that. I was trying to get like a main event thing together, and I made like a little thing in
I gotcha.
And the damn thing, I go to play it back and I added some real like twangy shitty music, royalty free shit. And I go to play it back and it's like, and it's like all like and like it sounded worse than Deliver. Like if it was Deliverance doing banjo, I would have accepted it. I might actually have to try to insert that in and see if it'll stick, because whatever I picked was not, it just was playing all distorted and I couldn't get it to work. So I was like, I guess we don't have that this week. Oh well, there's always next week. So
there is always next week.
We're here, so
we are here, and that's all that matters. And we've got a good one. And I'm excited about this because I mean the summer movie market has changed, but always a big lover of superhero movies, especially when you look at the peaks and valleys. Like when there's really good ones, there's good ones. Mm-hmm. And when there's bad ones, There's really bad ones. And I'm
Right.
sure most people would like us to talk about the good ones. So we decided to ignore that. We're going to talk about the bad ones.
Yes. Yes. And I found a list on Google. I have to pull it up again because we can discuss, because I don't know if I necessarily agree with everything on that list
There's a
as
couple I don't agree with because I went through like a similar list earlier. And of course, this summer, especially, we just had Superman come out. I've already seen it twice.
you've seen
So
it twice
obviously,
already? God damn.
well, I saw it Monday.
Mhm.
And then yesterday I went with my son. I took him to go see it because he wanted to check it out. And here's what's hilarious. And I kind of had this revelation. So I told you earlier, but I before the show I went to see I Know What You Did Last Summer, the new one,
Right.
which is nostalgia bait, but still a good time, and especially funny because like they kind of mock themselves as far as like the younger cast, knowing they're like not built for this kind of stuff. They're of a softer, kind of more coddled age, if you will. Um, but Monday I saw Superman.
Mhm.
Yesterday, Wednesday, I saw Superman. Today, I saw um, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then tomorrow, a couple of friends of ours they want to see it and they're trying to get people to go, and I'm like, fine. So I'm actually going to see Superman again tomorrow,
Oh, damn, 3 times in 1 week. Holy
and
shit.
that's plenty. Like and I know, obviously, take what you will from the internet, and I'm one of those people. It's like, look, not because everybody likes to compare. Was this the best Batman or this the best Superman? I've always felt that's very difficult, almost insidious to do because you're setting people up for like arguments. Because
Right.
Henry Cavill's Superman would not have worked in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies,
Right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely not.
and
Definitely
David
not.
Cornsweet, his Superman would not work in the Man of Steel movies. So I mean, because it seems to be, and we know part of that division is just the internet in general. But I'm a firm believer. It's like you can like one
Mhm.
and not like the other one. Like it is this weird type of just and you and I both know it's designed to get clickbait and just stoke the flames of this controversy of like bring back the Snyderverse and stuff. And let me get this out of the way real quick for those who
Mhm.
need to hear it. It's not coming back. Okay. When it went
He's done.
through the first time, it didn't fucking really work that well. And let's also be clear about this. When people were supposed to be fucking going to the theater to see it, a lot of them
Mhm.
didn't, especially considering these movies were supposed to take on Marvel, and they, like Marvel movies, had big freaking budgets.
Right.
And that's just the facts. Like you can't dispute that. Like these movies cost a lot of money. They cost a lot to be marketed, and when that kind of money changes hands, like anything, especially considered with cinema or movies or box office, it's a zero sum game. Either you made enough money or you didn't make enough money. And in the case of the Snyderverse, like Warner Brothers had kind of started wavering on Snyder pretty early on. It was kind of obvious. That's why the whole Justice League, or I'm sorry, the Justice League, because of Joss Whedon,
Mhm.
and then you have the Snyder cut. But I hate to break it to people, like, look, Snyderverse is gone as far as DC is concerned. It's not coming back. And just because they're not doing that doesn't mean you can't enjoy this. Now, if you honestly watch it and don't like it, so be it. Not everybody likes everything. I know people who think that Apocalypse Now is the shittiest movie they've ever seen, and I think it's
They're
absolutely.
wrong.
They are wrong in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's absolute artwork.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally like a masterpiece of cinema as artwork, and the story it tells in doing so. So for me, you don't have to side with one just because it's not there anymore, or you have to turn and be a hater just because a ton of these people, as expected, are like, they're gonna shit on it and not watch it and then turn around and go, oh well, yeah, it's a woke piece of crap, or it's stupid, or it's this. And in my mind, it's like, look, once again, it can be a zero-sum game. You either like it or you don't. Me personally, I love the fact that James Gunn made a fun Superman movie. It's ridiculous as expected in some areas, and you know, kind of silly in some areas. But it's a guy who flies around with his underwear on the outside of his pants.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What do you
and,
expect?
and I know, and I love certain aspects of Man of Steel. The trick with him though was just working so hard to keep it grounded. And I guess part of the folly we all learned was like, maybe Superman really doesn't work that way. Like, there wasn't obviously, I mean, some of the effects for the time still hold up and were great, but you look at the Christopher Reeve Superman, and, you know, they knew to go for like an energy, like a hopeful, kind of upbeat take and look. And it is very tricky to find tonal balance. But when they set on very early with Man of Steel, it was very much a case of just, you know, trying to find their footing. But, DC was like, well, if Marvel's got the high ground, we're going to go the low ground, and we're going to shoot for, this grittier, more thought-provoking, tougher tone. And
Right.
I mean, right off the bat, you probably should have done that with Batman instead of Superman. Because one of the crazy things about Snyderverse, they never had a solo Batman. I'm like, how do you fuck that up? Like, how do you introduce Batman and kind of throw him in there? And you don't need to beat that to death, but the first 10 minutes is his parents being shot all over again. And one thing James Gunn said is that he is not going to harp on origin stories because we've seen it all before.
Right.
This movie for me played like a Saturday morning cartoon or a Justice League Unlimited episode come to life. There are things in it that obviously, once again, like, border on silly, but it's all uptone, it's all upbeat,
Mm-hmm.
and it brings about like certain questions of one thing, and this isn't really spoilerific, but one thing they kind of address is like the ideal of something being punk rock. And when you think of punk rock, it's questioning and pushing against authority. You're pushing against the norm. Okay. And one thing they kind of touch on is we live in such a cynical age, and it addresses also social media being part of that cynical age, that the the downside of things is more what we're used to. The punk rock side of things is pushing against that and being nice and hopeful and kind to others. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
parts in there, it's like you want to be nicer to people because you're like, and it's the fact that Superman is, a glorified Boy Scout.
Right.
He believes for himself that everybody else can try to be good like him, even with the mistakes he may make, and he addresses that too. And there's just so much of that type of energy that's positive, and it also has kind of that James Gunn humor where it's awkward, but it's also like, okay, I get that, and you laugh at a lot of the stuff, and I get why for some people it doesn't feel like Superman because it is such a change in the take on him. But for me, it was like, no, that's not Superman. And I think, like anything else, like every character goes through different iterations. Like in the comic book, at one point they killed off Superman. Like,
Mhm.
killed them off. And there was at the time
Yeah.
no intention to bring him back until, of course, they did. But once again, like, yes, not everybody's going to like everything. But with this particular movie, there's a lot of, oh, I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's shit. And yeah, I can look at trailers and go, yeah, I don't know if that's my cup of tea. But I've also been pleasantly surprised where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't, I didn't, I didn't. They did that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't, and
There's
it
a
doesn't.
question I want to ask you real quick though, and I'm sorry, this popped in my brain.
No, go for
And
it.
you need to like tell me because this may have happened and I may have missed it because I never watched movies or anything before for years. So, did they ever make a Death of Superman movie? They never did that, did they?
They made animated where they
Okay.
took that storyline where he was killed by
Right.
Doomsday, and then in Dawn of Justice, Batman v Superman,
Right.
they they killed him off, and they kind of shoehorned in that storyline with him dying, but of course not staying
Ooh.
dead.
Ooh. So then they
And
resurrect him then kind of.
oh yeah, well, what was cool
Now
about the
I can
Death of
watch.
Superman storyline
Mhm.
is that originally they, with Superman dead, other companies and other heroes and villains were trying to find a way to either bring Superman back or do a Superman of their own.
Right.
And you had a lot of storylines where like these characters, like these makeshift clones, these makeshift androids or cyborgs, were trying to be the next Superman.
Right.
And in Batman v Superman, he's actually in the black costume, which is not only like a burial costume, but it actually was designed to help regeneration. So the
Mm.
suit made it allowable for him to not die. That's why in the comics he comes back. In Justice League, it's a bit different. The direction they went, um,
Mm.
it kind of works. It kind of doesn't. Um, with how they resurrected him. Um, Now that's a storyline they've played in that sandbox a little bit, and I remember buying the comics. Like they made it into a big deal because at the time Superman comics were not selling. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
were starting to get into the territory of, you were coming off of Death in the Family where they had the fans vote to kill Robin, and they did. So Robin died, and it had an uptick in Batman or sales for Batman comics.
Mm.
But we were starting to get and really starting to see the anti-hero in comics during that time. Wolverine, of course, had been popular for a minute, but we were really starting to see that character take front and center stage in Marvel.
Mm.
Venom, same thing. Punisher, same thing. Ghost Rider, like you had these reiterations, if you will,
Mhm.
and in doing so, we had the capes and the spandex and the boots characters took a bit of a dive, and then the fan base went the other way and was like, oh, how about we have this?
Mm.
So that's where you had Superman die, that's where you had Robin die and stuff like that. and that changed the course of a lot of comic books, because once again, like any industry, they're going to go off of trends. So, Superman didn't come back for a while, but did. We had another Robin after, I think, like a year and a half. We went from Jason Todd to Tim Drake. But they have played in that before. I think cinematically it doesn't work that well, because we all know, as far as Warner Brothers is concerned, they're never really going to kill off Superman. They're not going to make they're not going to make one movie and just go, "Yep, he's gone."
Well, see, because when the comics came out, like, and they killed him, I thought in my brain, I was like, I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna make a Superman 5 now, and they're gonna kill him. That's what I said, and that's what I wanted to have happen, but it didn't happen, and I was very upset.
Well, to be fair, and we'll get into that more, Quest for Peace killed Superman just fine.
Well, I think from our intro, we can tell what Quest of Peace is.
Quest a piece of shit. That movie, like I said, we'll get into a little more. That movie breaks my heart because it is such an interesting trajectory. Because you had 4 Superman movies in like roughly 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
From the release of the 78 one. And it is absolutely heartbreaking to watch the first one from Richard Donner that was able to capture the essence of the comic book. And you have easily one of the greatest castings of all time in Christopher Reeve, who was just phenomenal. I mean, the way he pulled that all off was just so great. It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, and I don't know if you knew this, but Superman 1 and 2 were actually filmed
back to back, I think, right?
Correct. But I don't know if you knew this, but the reason why we got the first movie when we did is because the production ran out of money halfway through. So they had to kind of figure out, like, okay, do we have a movie here or not? Like, can we at least get one in the box office and then see what happens? So that's what they ended up doing. And they ended up cutting both movies in such a way where it's like, okay, we're going to take this and now make one movie. So we'll do that. How's that? Good? And of course it worked. And then 2 weeks after it premiered, they fired Richard Donner and he didn't complete Superman 2. But that was already the beginning of the end, because they hired another director who credited with directing 2 and 3, who he did many movies in Britain, Richard Lester, and he was credited with A Hard Day's Night, which is a Beatles movie. But that's when they started kind of cutting back on the quality, where it's like, okay, we can do this cheaper now. And according to Richard Donner, he never got a solid budget. He was never told specifically what that magic number was he had to stick to. And he said on that production, like, he fought daily with the Salkinds, where it was constantly just, hey, do this, it's cheaper, and in some ways, and I agree, and it's evident from the first movie to the last movie, is that the Salkinds got what they got, but didn't really know what they had. Like, they knew Superman was popular, but I don't think they really got it. But Richard Donner did.
Right.
And that was to his credit, where it's like, okay, I understand, yes, this is a piece of Americana, but because originally, I guess the first script was like a comedy. Like, it was like super comedy, like just they were going silly, like super overt comic book, without kind of balancing between, okay, you can have the fun and frivolity, but it's like, well, this is Superman. He's considered kind of this iconic character.
Right.
And Richard Donner, like, he knew the assignment. There's no doubt that he knew the assignment. But in the case of the Salkinds, like, it was always a matter of money. And yes, productions, can go over and have issues. Like, that's not entirely unheard of. But the issue at play here was like, if you're gonna do it, do it. And if you really don't understand the character, well, then that's to their fault and detriment, if you will. Because it's like, well, if you're not gonna let the guy who gets it make the movie to actually get it right, then you're gonna lose your way. Because for them, it was like, especially after the first one was such a huge success, it's like, well, we can call anything Superman, and it's going to make money. And you and I both know that wasn't the case. The second Superman, they lucked out because it was right on the heels, so they were like, okay, we can still get away with this. But it's so obvious from the first one to the second one. I mean, it's almost kind of like an early version of like the Justice League, half Whedon and half Zack Snyder, where when you watch the movie, like visually, but just as a whole, you can see the differences between like what was originally there and what was this reshoot. And, especially in Superman 2 with that stupid saran wrap S that he throws out and captures. That was another thing when they started adding these really weird fucking powers. Like the memory erase kiss on Lois. It's like, and they did that in Quest for a Piece of Shit, where it was like, what? And let's be clear, after a while, like, they just figured, like, okay, we can just make Superman and people will watch them and the quality can go out the window. Because I still need to know, how the fuck did Richard Pryor end up in Superman 3?
That is the question. That is the $1 million question.
And I grew up with Richard Pryor. Live on the Sunset Strip is still amazing. And for me, it's like, okay, so how do you lose your way with that? Like, it's crazy to me. It's nuts. And then you have Quest a Piece of Shit. And for me, that movie isn't just bad, but it almost hurts. And not like in a, oh, they ruined my childhood kind of way. It's more just when you have something good and you sacrifice the quality because you seem to think, they went the opposite way, which I thought was kind of interesting. Because you and I both know that, like, the budgets, when you have sequels, the budgets go up. Well, these guys tried to play it the other way because Canon Group took over for the fourth one, but the Salkinds, like, all of these guys were like in debt and they kept trying to cut spending because they wanted a bigger payoff, because they were trying to use certain movies to pay down almost like their debts. Like, it was literally a case of like, okay, if we make this movie, it should equate to this many dollars, because Superman Piece of Shit is a perfect example of that. So Christopher Reeve signed on. It was going to be his biggest payday as Superman at the time, $6 million. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Oh yeah. At that time, that was not a sneeze in the bucket either.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before production started, the budget got cut in half.
Ooh.
So you went from like a $35 million budget to a $17 million budget. And out of that money, you already paid your star and you paid him considerably well based off of what you had. And 35 million in the late 80s was a good chunk of money. So they were going to throw some money at this thing. And then they decided not to, because the plan was for Canon Group was like, okay, let's try to make bank off of this, but do it as cheaply as possible. And then, hey, everybody makes out. Did you know that? And I think the final box office in America for Quest a Piece of Shit was like $9 million.
Dude, that made like no. Wow. No wonder they never made like a fifth of that original series, because like, damn, Ford like bankrupted them. Yeah, we're not bankrupted them, but you know, it was a major disappointment.
Okay, so here's
blow my mind.
Here's a breakdown. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how this is in AI. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, had a disappointing box office performance, earning just over $30 million worldwide. $30 million worldwide. Richard Pryor's one made like, I think, 35 million. So they were already like losing money on this franchise. They were already fucking it up.
Wow.
But it had a $17 million budget because it was slashed in half. It was originally 35 million. And they were, once again, they were trying to like make this thing work with the least amount of money. Mm-hmm. But it made 30 million worldwide. Let's see. When you have Superman 78, okay. So in 1978, now granted, that first movie in 78 had a budget of like $50 million, which was an insane amount of exactly. That was a bonkers amount of money.
That's like a $200 million movie today, or I would think. Yeah.
So $55 million. The overall box office in for the 78 Superman was 300 million.
Holy shit, dude, that made a shit ton of money. So
if you were to adjust for inflation, that figure would roughly be $1.4 billion.
Holy shit. Now see,
and it was a massive success. The critics loved it. People watched. I mean, it was at that time, obviously before the 89 Batman, but it was like a cultural touch point for that summer.
Right. Oh, definitely. And I mean, do you think that the lesson here is shouldn't have fired Donner? Should have just kept him with it for as long as you possibly could?
Well, the thing about their relationship with Donner was the fact that it was a no-win for either of them. But the results were there. The success was there. So do you try to cut corners, which they ended up doing by firing him, or do you keep the guy who got you there and go, okay, look, we know we're not getting along. However, we can make fucking money. So if we can bury our bullshit, maybe, just maybe, we can pull this off again. So Superman 2 grossed, this was 81. Superman 2 grossed, and this is where you start to see the change.
Yeah.
$216 million worldwide. So it was 108 million in the States and 108 million internationally. So already, obviously still a success, but you're already starting to come in like a good $80 million under.
Right.
And that had to complete it, had a big budget as well, because by the time they were done with both movies, and it's crazy to think about, because like now some studio pictures cost like easily 200 million without blinking,
Right.
but each Superman cost roughly 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
So the two movies that were shot together were basically $100 million. $100 million for two movies in the early 80s was like, for some people, that was like financial suicide. It's like, oh God,
Yeah.
will the studio survive? And obviously they did.
Yeah.
But this was already watching, this was already, I think audiences started getting wise, where it's like, okay, yeah, like this is good. It's not as good as the last one, but okay, they're still doing it. And then you get to
Mm-hmm.
see, this is when they should have known it was all going fucking sideways.
Right.
And when did it release? Let's see. Oh yeah, that probably didn't help. So they were already starting to shit the bed. So Superman
Right.
3 had a worldwide gross of $80 million. Domestically, it took in roughly 59 million, and internationally, it only took in 20 million. Because most people internationally was like, who the fuck is Richard Pryor?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that didn't help is that, what was its actual release date is the question. It was apparently dropped in, let's see if I can find the actual release date. Okay, so it came out less than 2 weeks after Return of the Jedi was released. So you were
That was
already,
stupid on Warner Brothers' part. That was
yeah.
dumb.
Well, and especially if you were already starting to kind of look at the money factor, where you're like, okay, because obviously they were now trying to like, okay, well, let's try to cut costs, make them cheaper, and try to go that way. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think. I mean, the man sold tickets. Richard Pryor was still a deal. He was still a big deal back then. But the trick was, why is he in a Superman movie? Like, if anybody else you could have cast, like him, why? So, yeah, they were already. I mean, the fact that we got Quest for Peace is kind of a
Mm-hmm.
shocker. Because the funny thing about 3 is that there's a lot effects wise that's not there, because they were trying to cut it back with, because like he goes back to Smallville, and he has his reunion and stuff. And I love the fact that Donner and especially Sam Raimi kind of pulling this together with
Mm-hmm.
the first 2 Spider-Mans he did. They knew how to spend time with the character, like, yes, the action and the comic book suits, and I mean the character of who's on the poster is important,
Right.
but you still need to have that buy-in. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
person behind the mask or the person behind the cape has to be translatable to the audience as well as their alter ego. And
Right.
that's what was so great about Richard Donner's. Like, there's a lot of time focusing on, how Clark is going to address what he can do and not keep it a secret, especially when you look at, the minute he outed himself, everybody was like, well, this guy can't be from around here. Like,
Right.
you know, um, but that one really breaks the heart, I guess you'd say, of the movie, because it's not, it became the name on the box. They stopped respecting what they created and how well they created it from the first movie. And then it was like, okay, well, let's keep shitting these out. People gonna watch them, right? And it's no, especially when the money drop was so substantial between 2 and 3. The second movie made 216 million worldwide. That's great. And then you didn't even break 100 million worldwide, and you technically had an A-lister. You had Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So isn't that kind of a sign that it's all going kind of sideways?
Why did we get a 4 at that point? That's,
I
why did
think
they
we
even
got a 4 because Canon Group stepped in and was like, oh, we can make this cheap. And they looked at it as an opportunity to pay off some of their debts. Because I think by the time they closed up shop, now keep in mind, Canon Group, and we grew up on them, American Ninjas and Breaking Boogaloo. But I think as like a company, they were like $70 million in the hole. By the time they closed up, like they were, I mean, they made movies for cheap, and a lot of their success came by way of home video or cable, especially at the time, because that's how I ended up watching a lot of their movies growing up. But I think once they started to delve into really trying to make movies and blockbusters, that's when they started shitting the bed, because they made Life Force.
Yeah.
And that was one of their biggest I think that was their biggest production, where they had like an established director, and they had, like an actual effects budget, and they had, these things. And that too was like a big summer release for them. And at the time it was a flop. So, Canon Group, when they got involved, it was a matter of like, okay, let's get some of that sweet Superman money, even though they were already losing leverage with Superman, and then trying to see if they could pull this thing off. And it just did not work. It just didn't. And part of that is because it looks, first of all, Superman 4 looks cheap because it is cheap. But the other side of it too is they did a lot of effects that they used over and over again. Like a lot of the flying between Nuclear Man and him.
Yes.
So it was very much a case of, like, that's why they cut the budget the way they did, because it was like, okay, if we can make this cheaper, then we can make up better on the other end. But the franchise was already sinking. And the only way they were going to like maybe renew this thing is if they put in the effort and the resources to make it actually work. And they didn't do that.
I wonder, because see, with 3 though being as bad as it was, or not, you know what I mean, or not as received, as well as it was, why did Christopher Reeve even be like, really? 4?
So he came on to 4 begrudgingly, but he wanted to address what brought about 4, from my understanding, is that he wanted to make a Superman that was addressing, because it was the Cold War and then it was the nuclear arms race. So he wanted to address this issue for him that was really important. Like, it meant a lot to him to kind of have, the ideal of, okay, this character is going to do this. It was a way of basically going, hey, Superman's in the real world and he's dealing with a real problem, which I didn't hate. But if you're going to tackle something like that, and especially the kind of money that had been originally thrown at Superman movies, cutting your budget in half right before going in front of the camera is going to do nobody any favors. And halfway through filming, Christopher Reeve himself, like, he said it in his book, that he knew it was going to flop, because it was made to be able to just use the name. You know, it had nothing. It had nothing to do with. It had nothing to do with wanting to make the franchise credible again. It was more the case of, oh, we can do this. Let's do this.
But why would Hackman come? Like even Hackman coming back for that one, like holy shit, why? Like,
Well, Hackman didn't have a lot. Hackman didn't have a lot of offers at the time. He came back. He came back the same reason why those who came back because they were fucking broke.
Yeah, and you still got to make those payments.
And it was a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Reeve knew right off the jump that it wasn't going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, give me 1 second. I need to do a quick adjustment because these headphones is killing my head.
Oh yeah, don't
I've had a.
Yes, that is.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Is the sound real bad? Those things are just killing my head.
No, surprisingly, the sound isn't bad at all.
Okay, good. Surprising indeed. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can function.
Don't kill yourself.
Better.
Sorry,
you were saying I cut you off.
No, but this just like this still blows my mind. And the fact is, so all right. So I had always thought that Warner Brothers was involved solely with the 4 of these, but apparently 4 was a joint venture, or did Canon, or like, so Canon bought in on Superman 4 then? That's the...
Correct.
And did Warner do that to, again, kind of make money or make up for their losses by allowing them to buy? Because Warner's a big studio, so I don't understand why they'd let Canon buy, because Canon, by comparison, is such a lower level company if you think about it. So why would they even like want them to buy in and all that type of stuff? It makes no... doesn't...
Canon, let's see. Canon was brought in, and it's probably because I guess in hindsight, they really knew how to pitch and be salespeople. You know, a lot of like Stan Lee, Bob Kane, a lot of these types that are credited with certain things. Yeah, they were a part of the process, but they weren't what people thought they were. Like they were the pitchmen, they were the salesmen. And they did it extremely well, obviously. But kind of the trick was, you know, what they were pushing to Warner Brothers and Christopher Reeve, because Christopher Reeve didn't want to make a 4th one. After the 3rd one, and the quality started sinking and stuff, he was like, I don't want to do this. When Canon came on board, they were the ones that were like, oh, you want to talk about like the nuclear arms race, and you want to talk about the Cold War, and you want to make that the focal point. Okay, let's do it. You got it. And he must have been like, really? And who could blame him? Like, that's the take he wanted to be with on the character. And I kind of liked it, not just from a political kind of stance, but it is one of those cases of, let's address a guy who has all these powers, but feels conflicted because he knows, because part of it's infringing. Like, unfortunately, you know, nuclear weapons do exist, but they do. Countries have them. But with him, it's a matter of him getting into a situation he doesn't need to really be a part of. He's placing himself there because he has the powers that he does. But the trick is, how do you sell that from a positive political standpoint? Because obviously, I mean, there's things in the new Superman where I got the joke, but of course some people are going to go, hey, that's not funny. Are they joking about us? Because they bring about like the ideal of social media and like how a narrative can alter the truth. And even the truth can be altered onto a narrative.
Right.
And with Quest for Piece of Shit, for me, it's like, yeah, you want to kind of explore this subject, but it still needs to resonate around a bald guy who was a super genius billionaire and an illegal alien from space who flies around with his underwear on the outside of his pants.
Right.
So, and I think that too probably hurt the movie a little bit because, yes, escapism is wonderful, and that's really the point of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in political points or bringing in certain narratives is great. However, you in some ways you're going to lose the audience.
Yeah, you'll definitely alienate people.
Well, especially when he was talking about like nukes and all this stuff. Because for me, it's like now, like with social media, there are some movies I watch and I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's great. That's cool. But then I'm also like, okay, thanks to this device, I never stop hearing about this shit.
Right.
Can I, it's one of those, it's like, can I take a fucking break?
Yeah.
So it is very, they talk about, Bryan Singer did when he did Superman Returns, which, as far as I'm concerned, isn't exactly that great a Superman movie either. And it didn't help that Warner Brothers really decided to live in the past on that one, because that one is actually supposed to take place after 1 and 2.
Really? So between 2 and 3, basically.
Or between 2 and 3, yeah. So yeah, you were supposed to have they tried to do the Halloween Jamie Lee Curtis thing, but before then, and it was like, oh, okay, well, let's shoehorn this in, and we forget about 3 and 4 because 3 and 4 were pretty bad, and it's like, well, 2 wasn't that spectacular either. Number 1, and number 2, it's like getting your cake and eating it too. Where you're like, well, wait a minute, like you want to bring Superman, but you don't want to leave that behind. Now, there's a lot of cues, both visual, soundtrack wise, connected to or borrowed, if you will, from Richard Donner's Superman. But there's no shame in it. Like, yes, it's not meant to connect to anything that's come before, but also thanks to Richard Donner being so spot on with his iteration, we see the Fortress of Solitude as the giant crystal structure that it is. When we think of Superman's theme, and I love the Man of Steel theme from Hans Zimmer. I think it's magnificent. But John Williams, like, that's the OG.
Yeah.
And that resonates. It is adapted, if you will, for this new one. And it's not a bad thing, but it reminds us how much that first movie just got it so right. And even now, where it feels like a period piece, because that movie's like 40 plus years old, like, we still get, like, I went to Broovies. I told you about it. We left early because we were just like, okay, we got it out of our system. A lot of people talking, midnight madness crowd. But we went to the noon show of the movie of 78. They were playing it at Broovies. And I'll be honest, especially that intro, when they play the credits, the opening credits, oh my God, I was transported back. I was like 5 years old all over again, where I was wearing my Superman shirt and I had my curly hair, the curly.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm gonna be Superman when I grew up. She's like, you can't. You're not an alien. I was like, well, I'm gonna be an alien. She's like, don't be an alien. Ice comes and gets them. Oh,
that's a good one.
Oh no, I didn't. Oh no, I went there. Oh, I didn't even give you lube or a reach around. Oh,
that's great.
But
Shit, that's good.
also in all the Superman iterations, the cinematic ones, they do. It's funny how he's supposed to be a symbol. Like when he was originally created, he was considered a symbol for truth, justice, and the American way. But almost every single film iteration of Superman has addressed him as an illegal alien.
Wow. That is weird to think about.
That he's not from here. That he's not from here, and that he's on the planet illegally. And because Earth is governed the way it is, for somebody who's from another planet, there's no apolitical zone, so he's technically not protected by any rights. But the man's practically a demigod, so it's like, but that's what's so interesting. That's also kind of the irony, kind of the BS, if you will, about when we talk about like the American way, truth and justice, and it's all kind of played into propaganda because when the two gentlemen who created him in 38, like he was created in 38, so it is almost certainly obvious that he was meant to play off of the tensions at the time. Hitler had already gone through Poland.
Yeah.
So that was obviously a part of it. But it's always been addressed like this one does it and Man of Steel does it, particularly, where they talk about the fact that, yeah, you may consider yourself among us, but you're not. And especially Donner's version really hits home on the Jesus parable. And you can think what you will about Jesus and the Bible, whether it's real or not. For this case, it's not. Hey, it's a story. Who knew? But having said that, you think about the setup from a far off land. This Jor-El sends his only begotten son onto this world, our world, to sacrifice himself for us. Now, granted, he has powers and all that stuff, but it is kind of the whole, Jesus sends his son, and the iteration of his son is a piece of Krypton. So it's a case of, like how it goes, God sent his son who happens to be God himself.
Right.
That's the whole point of the parable. Like it actually pertains to life. So is the father onto the son.
I mean, man,
and he didn't need long hair, a beard, and fucking sandals to do it.
And you know what? The one with long hair, sandals, and beard is probably an illegal immigrant too.
Well,
I mean, you can...
the way it's been told, if you will. If you look at the geography and you look at the original versions of how Jesus, because he was obviously, modeled after young Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars prequels.
Right.
Hello there, Jerusalem.
That's a good one. I like that. Oh shit, I loved it.
Hello, Judas. No, there's so the cradle of civilization that is covered in the Bible. From a geography standpoint, it's technically Iraq and Iran. So let's think this through from a logic standpoint.
Yes, logic.
A cracker white guy in the middle of Iraq living longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's not real.
During that time in the world.
Yeah. It's not realistic, I don't think.
No, and I'm really not trying to go down this hole, but I think it pertains to superheroes and
Mm,
how we look at these characters as inspirations, and how I think that is extremely important
mhm,
because you know our universe is so vast, and we seem to think we are the bee's knees when it comes to the universe. And you think about how
yeah,
massive, like we have measured, and yet we still have parts of the universe that are immeasurable. Okay,
mm,
but the flying disco space Jew zombie seems
mhm,
more practical
mhm,
than if something, a life form, came from another planet. And I'm quite the opposite, where I'm like, no, like billions upon billions of stars and planets and places that exist that we know of and have measured, but we don't have the means to get there, or maybe vice versa. And I can't help but to think like we're so close-minded to the ideal that
mhm,
that's a possibility. Now I know that can go both ways, because then it's like, well, if you're open-minded to aliens and
mhm.
creatures from space, why would you be closed-minded to the thought of disco space Jew magic zombie? And
Mhm,
the reason being is I've never seen proof of a zombie. Okay.
right.
But I've seen proof of a black hole, and I've seen proof and images of far off stars. And
Mhm,
we know from certain imaging, certain sciences, that there's other places that exist. It
right.
it all boils down to tangibility. And I'm all for believing in things. I'm all for the fantastic, or keeping hope alive, even in a miraculous sense. And hope is very powerful. But why
Mhm,
is it so bad? And I've had this conversation with people. Why is it so wrong for me to not agree with that? And me being so out of bounds in taking the same effect from a comic book character, because they're like, well, it's fictional, it's a comic book character. I'm like, well, so is the fucking space Jew.
mhm,
Like, because and remember, they always keep talking about the second coming,
mhm.
even though they can't really prove the first one.
True. Yeah, that's right.
Now,
100%.
historically, are there things of that time that may exist where he may have been around? Yes, because tangibility. We know that
Mhm,
time exists. We know that was a thing. But if you really want to know the truth about
mhm,
whether or not Jesus existed, I got one word for you:
mhm.
dinosaur. We have people in this world who think that the earth is 6,000 years old.
Wow. Yeah,
When we can prove, that's the key word, prove, beyond a shadow of a
mm,
doubt, that
yeah,
that's not possible. Not that it's not true. It's not possible. There's
mhm,
there's nothing to connect that at all. I mean, fucking
mhm,
at all. It's not a thing.
yeah,
But going back to the superhero thing, just because the heroes I believe in doesn't look like, Jesus Judy Jew,
mhm,
but it's the same morals of the story.
right. Mhm,
Be kind. If you have a power, if you have a gift or a talent, use it for good. Use it to help people, even inspire people. In the case of Batman, you lose everything. And even with the money you have, that was always the great thing about a lot of the Batman movies later on in his time was, or later on in this time, I should say, the Christopher Nolan ones, that, in Batman Begins, there's always the distinction that Batman is the true person. And the character and the mask is Bruce Wayne, where he changed and differed so much that even without the costume, he's Batman. In the case of Bruce Wayne, that's the cover-up. That's the fake. That's what he shows people. Right. And what's wrong with the message of a character who explores their own darkness and becomes stronger for it, even if it is kind of a perilous tale? And, those are the kind of stories that play into many religions. So what's the difference if that has this as opposed to, spandex and boots? And right. Think about it, especially with superheroes, the sign of hope, the S, the Kryptonian symbol, the bat symbol. A lot of these things are recognizable, similar to almost religious figures. The crucifix, if you will. Star of David, things like that. And think about this, and this is another thing. You think about the crucifix, okay? But the real symbol for people, the real symbol is Jesus on the crucifix, not the crucifix itself. Because the whole point is he was sacrificed on it. It's not the wood. It's the guy hanging off of it going, ow, 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 ow.
Right.
If you want to know my thoughts on religion, I think I just covered it. But having said that, think about, okay, for poops and giggles, unless this has already existed, and I don't know that it has, think about if somebody, let's say a church, just for shits and giggles, and a church like, maybe a shithole one in Dunfuck, Mississippi, or Big Loins, Arkansas, those shitholes. What would the backlash be if now, in our time, 2025, the year of our Lord and Savior, George Carlin, see, you can worship anybody, you just got to commit to it.
Yeah. That's it.
If you erected a crucifix now, if you erected a crucifix now, okay, and you put an actor up there, and you did a full okay, redo of his crucifixion, being up there for 6-7 hours, okay,
yeah,
bleeding, possibly urinating and defecating himself.
Okay? Oh wow!
And hung.
Passion of the Christ didn't even do that.
Huh?
Passion of the Christ didn't even do it for that long, or anything like that.
Well, no, but I'm going off of what's considered the actual depiction, or at least as far as I know, that he was up there for hours, okay, bleeding, and of course, as the body goes, things start falling off, especially up there, and you're basically just out there dying an unfortunate slow death. But think about if we were to show that now. Because, you see a lot of these kind of religious points where they're like, well, let's put the fucking 10 Commandments outside of courthouses. Well, number one, like most theatrical art pieces, it's just there. We've all broken the 10 fucking commandments. As a matter of fact, 100%. 10 is a small list that we can't even fucking follow, and I don't even think we need that many. But if you want to make it where people follow, like, you know how many fucking stone tablets we would need? We would need so many of those motherfuckers, and people still wouldn't fucking follow them. But if you were to put that outside of a church or a courthouse or a schoolhouse, like a Catholic school, and you were to erect a period accurate crucifix with a period accurate depiction of the live crucifixion of Jesus H. Christ, H is his middle name, stands for Harold. What would the backlash be? What would that fucking look like? That would be insane. And the sad thing is that there's fucking nut jobs in this world that would be okay with that. And it's like, what are you telling people? I mean, seriously, like, and I was programmed, not just raised, but programmed Catholic. Okay. So I heard all that bullshit.
Yep, I know what you mean because I went through it.
So if you turn it around and then it's like, oh shit, well, yeah, who would do that? Why would anybody do that? Blah 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 and all that shit. And it's like, guys, no, it's not how that works. Like, that's not how any of that works. Like, yeah, it's very interesting to kind of watch, you know, and people obviously love superhero movies. They make a ton of money. And now, you know, especially it's perfect for us to talk about it, not just because we have 2 superhero movies, one out, one coming up, but Marvel lag is real. DC is being reintroduced, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of studios wanting to throw their hat in the way they used to with superhero movies. You know, there was one time they were adapting everything under the sun. Dick Tracy, Green Hornet, The Shadow, The Rocketeer. You know, you had all the Phantom. Like, you had all these great story characters that started as like comic books and comic serials, and then radio plays, and then you know, film and TV serials. And there was one time they were throwing a ton of money, you know, like Hellboy and The Mask, and then, you know, of course, Blade. And then now we're kind of in this weird space where they crank them out to crank them out. And, you know, when they talk about superhero fatigue, and I think that type of situation existed long before we started running into actual fatigue. Part of that, I think, also comes back to you know, when you put your mark on something like Marvel did, and Marvel had their missteps even before, like Elektra, and of course Captain America, pictured in that Captain America. Oh my god, that thing is so bad. And it's weird. It was made for like, I think, like $4 million. Yeah, we'll talk about a few of those too in a bit. But, you know, trying to get the technology and the money to really catch up didn't happen right away. That's why truly the best superhero movies are the ones where you have the budget and the people to actually pull it off. Because taking something that's on paper and bringing it to life is not as easy as it sounds, because a lot of people go, oh, it's just a comic book. It's just like a comic book. It's not, you know what I mean? It's nothing special along those lines. It's just a comic book. And it's like, yeah, but you're literally taking still life in that sense and trying to apply it. And it's very tricky to do, because we have seen over the years many haphazard comic book movies and superhero movies. And one that comes to mind that we didn't really discuss or anything, up until this point is, and this happened right at the edge. Movie's like 5 years old. Happened right at the edge of COVID, just as COVID was starting, and that was Harley Quinn: Birds of Prey with Margot Robbie.
Yes.
And that movie. So first of all, obviously, very popular character for DC, and they adore them. They think they're great, rightly so. But this was one of those movies where you were really trying to work the character as the main point, and everything else just didn't really take, because you and I both know now. Granted, Nolan's iteration of Gotham City was essentially Chicago or New York. It was kind of modeled after that.
Right.
When you look at like Burton and Schumacher, and they really, they really gave Gotham City its own point of personality. City itself was a character because it was so storied. Metropolis, being the same way. Like when you think of Superman, one of the biggest kick in the tits I got, especially out of Birds of Prey, was, it's supposed to be Gotham City, okay? Right. And you and I both know that a lot of the Batman movies take place at night for a reason. It's Gotham City. Like, it's kind of the playground of the night creatures. The prostitutes, scum, murderers, druggies, whatever, politicians, all of them, scum buckets. Anyway, anybody find that Epstein list yet? No, sorry, I went there. I apologize. Sorry.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Don't apologize.
I can't find the Epstein list. I must have thrown it out with my shopping list with Smiths. I got my deviled eggs, and it was like, whoops, out it goes.
Exactly. But you said they had it. They had it. But where is it?
I just had it right here. I had it right here with my bills and my decoupage and the fucking ugly macaroni art that my 8-year-old made, and I told him, "You have talent. Grow up to be an artist." You don't have talent, kid. Fuck off.
Exactly. That's what he's really thinking. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah. Well, the little fucker was trying to eat the macaroni off the paper when he glued it on. But that version of Gotham City in Birds of Prey, I mean, I think they did it in Canada, but it looks like fucking Milwaukee. Like, right. you have this place, and I'm even talking about like Burton when he did Batman Returns, and it was all sound stages in Culver City.
Yeah.
Where I guess for whatever reason, Gotham City didn't have a sky, and it didn't look like it had a sky.
I guess not.
Well,
I never fucking noticed that. Now I got to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, it doesn't have a fucking sky.
Batman Returns.
Well, and that was part of the credit of the '89 Batman, was the fact that they built everything outside, okay, and they made this. They used some pre-existing backlot structures, but they made it its own entity. Like the ideal of these cities, Metropolis, Gotham City, very storied onto themselves, where they're a character. This was like, and if you watch Birds of Prey, it's like, are you in fucking Des Moines? Like, everything, a lot of the movies done during the day. They didn't seem to really do anything from a production design standpoint as far as creating anything on the exterior. The only set that seems to set itself apart from any of that stuff is Black Mask's club. Like, there's just not a lot that distinguishes itself from anywhere else. Like, they might have shot it. They could have shot it in fucking St. Louis and go, yeah, it's Gotham City. It's like, no, there's no distinction there. There's really not. In the case of like the Nolan Batmans, yeah, we know what city it is, but at least we're looking at like a city.
Right.
Skyscrapers, high rises. A lot of what we're shown as a city for that Gotham City is like, I mean, it might as well be fucking Provo. Like, it's like a city in name only, but not like a city. So
the only thing that was gonna,
because it was like, well, you're gonna highlight Harley Quinn because she's the main character, but once again, when you start putting these anti-heroes into movies, there's always the mindset and the reasoning, for whatever reason, to and I guess it's just filling a need. Like, they want to make these people, these characters that are anti-heroes, into heroes. And it's like, oh no, they're still bad. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, in the comic books, like, they're not good. Like, they start as villains. And yes, even the stuff you might follow them on is like, okay, they're taking out the bad guys. But they're the worst guys taking out the bad guys. They're not heroes. They try to play a bit of like moral ambiguity, English, and try to make the characters relatable. And it's like, oh, they can do good things too. And it's like, no, they can't. Stop it.
Yeah. And see, the only reason that I was even, I didn't see Birds of Prey, and the only reason that I would have seen it was the hope that it would have had some Joker in it, because I love the Joker. He is my favorite villain. I love him.
He's in it as like a tacked on cameo.
Oh. Well, that's no fun. See, then how was the movie though? Is it like bad, or is it
time? No, it's a fun little time waster. It's not bad. There are some parts that are fun and funny and enjoyable, but
yeah,
it's not great. And you wanted to make a Harley Quinn movie, but then make her like a nice Harley Quinn. And it's like, yeah, none of that works.
Is it better than fine?
Yes.
Okay.
On occasion, I'll put it on for just a goof. Like I said, there are parts that are kind of fun. One thing that didn't help with that movie is there was a bit of like what I like to call identity crisis pieces. And that comes particularly from they do kind of the narrative thing similar to Deadpool.
Oh.
They were trying to make it like Deadpool. Or it's like, oh, it's this thing, or it's that thing, and it's like, yeah, I guess it is, sure. Well, and for me, like, anytime you bring certain characters into play, if you don't do it a certain way, obviously the fan base is gonna gut you. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
They can smell that rat a mile out, I guess is the best way to put it. And for someone like me, it's like, guys, you just why don't you just really know the character? Because in a lot of cases, it always feels like they do what they do to kind of how do I put it? They do what they do because that's what they think audiences want. Because remember,
Right.
yes, you have built-in audiences with comic book characters, but
Mhm.
you also have to look at, okay, so how do we get John Q and Jane Q public to go as well? So it's not an automatic given that you're going to get asses in seats. So
Right.
as per usual, it's like, okay, well, let's see what we can do here, and yada yada yada. And for my money, I always just kind of look at it as, stay true to the character,
Mhm.
especially if you're going to try to manipulate your audience. Where it's like, hey, they're good guys. It's like, no, they're not. Stop it. Stop
Mhm.
doing that. They're not good. And
Mhm.
and and once again, it's like, yeah, we don't expect them to be good. Like
Right.
that's kind of the point. These characters are anti-heroes for a reason.
Mhm.
And me personally, like, I had some fun here and there, and obviously they could have done a lot of things better.
Mhm.
I had some fun in my own way in reference to what's it called? What the hell's it called? The Venom trilogy. Now those catch a lot of shit because they made so many changes.
Mhm.
And trust me, nobody's surprised because they did make a lot of changes. But for me, it's like, yeah, you have to let the audience in. And when you talk about staying true to the character, like, yeah, he does some heroic things, but they show him eating people too.
Right.
There's some back and forth there. Not much, but some. And that's one thing I think that happens a lot too with a lot of these superhero movies, good and bad, where they
Mhm.
change so much of the storyline and the narrative to kind of fit. And there's also the other side of it where they'll change something for the movie, and because it takes off and it's popular, they'll change that in the comic book.
Oh, no shit, I didn't even realize they oh, no
What
shit.
Blade? Take a look at when Blade as a comic book character was created, and now what they
Mhm.
make him look like in the comics, and it's very much in vein of. I mean, it's still in vein of what Wesley Snipes did, because we're probably never going to get another Blade movie.
Well, not with so you don't think we'll ever get one? Not just obviously
I
not with
think
him,
we
but
will get
just
one.
mhm.
I think we will get one eventually, but there's a couple of caveats there. Okay, because for my money, how do I put it? Okay, so here's the way I see it.
Mhm.
You Feige is not going to be around forever.
Right.
That's just a fact. He's not going to be around forever.
Oh, he said he was leaving he said
It
he was
looks like
leaving
he
after
is.
something.
Yes, it looks like he is.
Mhm.
And for my money, I'm like, okay. Once again, if he goes, he goes, because apparently he looks like he's going to end up leaving after Doomsday and Secret War. So
Doomsday. Wait, is Doomsday the same Doomsday that killed Superman, or is
no,
it a
no, no, no,
different
no.
one?
No, Doomsday in this case for the next Avengers
Yes.
means Doctor Doom.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
shit. See, because I was thinking there was gonna be some crossover shit happening, and Doomsday was gonna come and kill the Avengers like he killed Superman and have that whole fucking
No, that would have to be a crossover
yeah.
for that to occur. Now, let's be clear. There's definitely a possibility of that. You can never count that out.
I mean, I don't know if Warner Brothers and Disney could get along, though. Do you think that
Well, if there's money to be had, yes. But there was a time, believe it or not that long ago,
Mhm.
about 10 years ago, where Disney was trying to look at the prospect of buying Warner Brothers. Yes.
Oh God, Lethal Weapon on. Oh God. Oh. 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 It scares me.
That, and that could have been a very interesting possibility, of course. But I'm also one of those people. It's like, okay, guys, if once again, if you're not going to, if you're not going to, how do I put it? If you're not going to make it, if you're not going to make it count, because obviously, companies buy up other companies all the time. That's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
But, why can't we get like a Simpsons and Marvel's team up? Because now they own each
other. Listen, I have to tell you something real quick. Do you know how stupid I was as a child? I thought that Superman was an Avenger. I shit you not. I thought he was an Avenger.
I mean, up to a point, we didn't all know the difference. That kind of tracks.
No, but when the first Avengers movie came out, I was thinking Superman was going to be in it.
Oh, wow.
And then I was informed, and I was like, boy, you really are stupid.
Okay, that one's kind of funny.
I am I've seen comic book movies, obviously. Batman, right, more so, because he is my favorite because of the Joker and all that shit. But, I never followed comic books and all that, and it took me a while to, realize the difference between fucking DC and Marvel and all that shit, and that one was one and one was the other. I thought, the Avengers, were there at Superman's funeral because he was an Avenger and all that, and,
Oh, this is good. I did not know any of that.
I thought, I thought that, at fucking around Superman's casket, that the Avengers were, formed because they were, giving their respects or paying their respects. And I was like, okay. But then I realized, that was the Justice League. So then I'm, looking, and I'm like, Justice League? I'm like, Justice League? Avengers? Aren't they, the same? It makes, I don't...
I gotta be honest with you. That's pretty damn awesome.
I mean, I understand it now, but, dude, I was fucking close to 30 thinking this shit. I'm sorry, actually, I'm sorry. I was over 30.
Well, if you knew the characters but weren't immersed in the comics, I can see that.
But see, all right, I'm going to tell you, the first comic book that I remember buying when I got into comic books and I collected for a few years was the whole Death of Superman thing. Because the author of the comic books was at the store signing the books. So I remember, because I got the books and I got
Dan Jurgens or John Byrne?
No, the other. Maybe it wasn't an author. Maybe he was an illustrator. His name was Brett somebody. I don't know who the fuck it was. But all I know is, I'm just so. But the thing was, my parents were thinking that comic books were going to be an investment. So every time that we got the comic books, I just bought comic books and bagged and boarded them. I never fucking read them. So, dude, I still have comic books here to this day, sitting sealed in the fucking Mylar bags that I never even read the fucking whole Death of Superman, Resurrection of Superman thing.
So, out of curiosity, have you ever priced or looked at what these comics are?
I have not. I don't even know where they are at this point.
It's funny. I probably stumble across them and be like, "Oh, there they are."
Yeah, they're here, but I don't know where. But they're here. But I bought like I don't know how many comic books. But my parents were like, "We're gonna get these. We're putting them in the bag with the boards. We're sealing it. You are not reading it because if you read it, if you crease the pages, if you do this, you do that, they're worthless. And we're not buying these. We're not spending the money on these for them to be worthless."
Right.
I'm like, okay, why not?
You're
Let's
like,
do it.
got it.
And that's exactly. And I just like sat there. Like I remember when fucking Spawn #1 came out.
I
And I
had
remember getting
17
Spawn #1.
copies. I had
Oh,
17
shit.
copies of Spawn #1, and I had 15 of them signed because he came to Jellies, Todd McFarlane.
Oh.
Yeah, I met
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane, and it's funny because he's like he's a big hockey fan. He's like this Canuck. He's like this dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, oh, hey, geez, hey, don't you know, guys? And it's like, and now he has, well, and he created Spawn, and he has his toy company. But yeah, I remember when he was just like an artist, and then it's like, I mean, I don't know if he's like a billionaire, but he's probably pretty close.
Yeah, he's got to have something, I would think.
Yeah, he's probably got a couple of nickels to scrape together. It's funny because he still wants to direct the live action Spawn, which he claims every year is coming out the next year.
I've been waiting for it because I liked the original. Like I liked the '97 movie. I didn't mind it. I liked it. Or '98, whenever the hell that came out. But I liked that one. I liked John Leguizamo. I thought he was great as the clown thing. Probably in the minority, but yeah, I don't think there was many people that like Spawn.
I kind of dug it. I didn't love it. I enjoyed it enough to where it's like, okay, they made Spawn. I guess that's the best way to kind of put it. Now, for me, the really well done iteration of Spawn is the HBO series.
Never saw that. How was that? Is that?
Oh God, it's so good. It's even good. It's good even now.
And that's animated, right?
Yes. That one was kind of ahead of its time, but it was pretty damn good.
I'll have to look and see if HBO. I wonder if HBO Max has it. I'll have to look.
They should.
I'll have to give it a watch. Yeah, I'll have to see because maybe I'll watch that. Should be interesting.
So, McFarlane is roughly worth about $350 million.
Oh, yeah, he's got the money.
Yeah, he should be fine.
But do you ever think that we'll get that other Spawn movie, or?
Well, and Jamie Foxx is actually signed on to play Al Simmons.
Really?
Yeah, and he's been signed on forever to play that role.
Well, see, this is what I don't get. How can they not have? Because they don't have a script, obviously. So
McFarlane claims they do.
Well, I would think that they would have to because I don't think you'd sign anybody to play any role without a script. Or maybe they do that. I don't know enough, but I would never do that.
How do I put it? They don't always I feel, and this is something I've learned over the years, even through like
Mhm.
this show and other things. Like, you start out with the script or an ideal,
Right.
and then scripts change, ideals change, and sometimes people who are in these movies don't even fully read the scripts. They
Right.
find it as a jumping off point, and then obviously they make
Mhm.
changes. That's why it's crazy to hear about like the massive amounts of changes that some of these scripts undertake during production. It's like,
Right.
how, like, this thing is $200 million. How the fuck are you still writing this thing?
Mhm.
Like, isn't that a shit show? Like, people show up on set and it's like, oh yeah, we've changed pages, and that happens all the time. But it's also like, well, how do you function off of that?
Mhm.
I can't see that being something that should work, and yet it does.
Right.
So go figure. Um, but yeah, for me, when it comes to that stuff, I'm like, okay, give it a shot. Um, and when you bring people on, like certain names, like Jamie Foxx, they have the weight behind them. They have the successes behind them to
Mhm.
make changes to scripts that obviously aren't going to be favorable. But if they're the star and they're the ones on the poster, you got to keep them happy.
Right. Yeah, no, you do.
And it's very tricky because you can't you can't please everybody, because,
No.
well, you're gonna run into what I like to call the can't win for losing. And
Mhm.
what that means essentially is, you know, you have, as a filmmaker, you have so many people to appease. You have so
Mhm.
many people who work under you, and you have so much to try to pull off, and then it just doesn't always come together. And you hear about that like after the fact sometimes.
Mhm.
Like what we set out to make and what we ended up making didn't work.
Right.
It wasn't what we thought it would be.
Mhm.
Um, and in the case of something like Spawn, I know that probably for years, what kind of brought brought all of this to where, and it's not like the first one was a massive hit, but it made money. It's still
Right.
very popular among, comic. I mean, they have video games. You can actually play Spawn in one of the Mortal Kombats. Like,
Oh shit.
yeah, there's so much there
Mhm.
with Spawn, and is definitely a character that has, aged well enough and has carried over. And like I said, it's made Todd McFarlane a shit ton of money.
Mhm.
But it's like, I mean, it's probably almost like the ideal of like the Superman movie that was supposed to have been made with Nick Cage and Tim Burton, where
Right. Yeah,
you know
that one.
you go to undertake something like this, and you're like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And then you turn around and you go, wait a minute, can this is this going to work? And people get apprehensive. And I have a feeling Spawn is one of those, because we haven't seen a Spawn since that one.
Right. No, we haven't.
And I love that Spawn soundtrack.
Mhm.
That soundtrack is a lot of um, like dual collaborations.
Mhm.
Like, you've got Prodigy and Tom Morello, and you've got Biohazard and Onyx, and you've got, I mean, it's one of my favorite soundtracks,
Mhm.
where you have like this great coupling of music, like what is it, Ronnie Size and Cypress Hill. Like, the track list is fucking amazing. But
Mhm.
that was a $45 million project, and it doesn't hold up that well. It wasn't horrible, but you could tell like they really didn't pull it off. Now the animated um, Spawn that happened not too long after the live action movie really is done very, very well, because you've got Sam and Twitch and they kind of have their own storyline, and then you kind of have like they really got Spawn right with that one, because they really tried to find the humanity with Al Simmons, but in a movie form. And you and I both know what happens in a lot of cases is you can't, if you're really trying to focus on a character, you got to find that balance. That's kind of like the Superman, Donner and Raimi Spider-Man, where it's like, yeah, you got to spend a lot of time with the character, but Spawn is not. There's so much of Spawn that's around Spawn, not Al Simmons, especially from a visual sense, because it's a very striking visual character. So, yeah, you want to study Al Simmons and his humanity, but how many people really want to see that as opposed to seeing, his cape and the chains and all that stuff? So, it's important to focus on the character, but you and I both know it's like, well, how much exposition did they expect to get out of Al Simmons? And it's like, it's not going to be a lot, I'll tell you that much. I wouldn't say that Spawn is in the bad territory, but that was like a bit of a misfire, where it's like, okay, you were trying to pull it off, and it didn't quite get there, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. And that of course gets tricky with taking on a lot of comic book projects, because you set out to do one story and you end up with something else altogether. One that comes to mind, and those were fun, but I'm not going to focus on that one. But we had two Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, and they were fun in their own right, but they were definitely of the nature of that time, where hey, let's shit out this and shit out that. Now, remember, those were early on enough to where Marvel hadn't started yet.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't get to that just yet.
Yeah.
Close, but we didn't get there. But one movie that I feel is like, it's almost like Quest for Peace, where I feel a little bad for it because they tried and didn't quite get there, and that was the Fantastic Four from 2015.
I didn't see that one, but I saw the other two, but I never saw the one from 2015.
That one is once again we talk about iterations, and that canon is important, but not all comic book movies are going to follow canon directly from the comic book. Now, the guy who directed that one, or is credited with it, directed Chronicle. Now, Chronicle is not based on any one character of that sense, but I will say, I love Chronicle. I love, it's also, it's once again, it's part of the what's it called, found footage group of stuff. But what I really liked about it was, it was like Hancock without the stupidity, where where you're watching them discover these things about them, and they get their superpowers, and it kind of answers a question like, if teenagers get superpowers, right?
Mm.
What would they be like?
Mm.
And you and I both know the answer.
Um,
They'd be they'd be some unruly pervy little shits.
oh, of course, without a doubt. See, I like you put that so gracefully. I loved it.
Yeah. Real quick, I have to mention it must be on account of, so I think I've told you before, but I'm a fan of Liquid Death, and no, they don't sponsor the show.
Mhm.
I wish they would, but I'm a big
Yes.
fan of Liquid Death,
Mhm.
and I regularly buy them. Um, they've got a myriad of flavors and stuff, but they've got some good ones like I really really enjoy.
Mhm.
And some of the flavors I'm like, oh God, am I
Mhm.
gonna try that? Now, lo and behold, another thing about me people may not know or realize is that I love breakfast cereal. Used to eat it a lot
Mhm.
when I was a kid. I still eat it a lot now. It is one of the few pleasures left in my existence.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And every now and then, I mean, and it's a myriad. Like I'll get some healthy cereal or healthiest cereal, and then sometimes I'll basically
Mhm.
buy sugar in a box.
Right.
Obviously, I prefer more of the sugar in the box.
Mhm.
But I stumbled across something, and it was very much a case of no, they come on, what are they gonna really?
What did
So
they
I
do?
put it in my hand, and I've been drinking so far throughout the show.
Mhm.
And you might have noticed the red can. Okay,
I did notice a color. Yes.
this is Liquid Death Serial Criminal. It is their sparkling water flavored like fruity pebbles.
No shit.
Now, I had to order it from Amazon. Got it yesterday,
Mhm. Right.
and my son came over. We did some pizza, and then we went to the show, to the movie.
Mhm.
And my girlfriend, she's very particular. Like she don't like the smell of energy drinks. She don't like the taste of energy drinks. With some of these waters too, it's kind of the same thing. Okay,
Mhm.
I was dumbfounded that she actually liked it. I was
Really?
like, oh. And here's the crazy thing. Are you ready for this?
What's that?
So I enjoy it. I think I'm halfway through. I bought a 12 pack. I think I'm like halfway through.
Okay. Yeah.
If you pour it out like in the cup or a glass,
Right.
it
Mhm.
smells like fruity pebbles,
Yes.
and it fucking tastes like it.
Really?
It is fucking bananas.
Now, is liquid death because that is it, you said it's like sparkling water. So, is that
Yes.
like drinking water or is it does it have other shit in it that's
Well, they have just a regular plain water,
okay?
and then they have a plain sparkling water, and then they also have flavored ones. So the
Mhm.
flavored ones are they have one called Cherry Obituary, which is one I really like, and it's cherry flavored.
Mhm.
They have a tangerine flavored one. That one's really good.
Mhm.
They have severed lime, instead of severed limb. Ha ha ha.
Mhm. That's a good one.
That one's really good. My son likes that one because he's a big citrus fan, but he likes that one a lot.
Mhm.
Um, they also have one that's cola flavored that I like. They have one that's
Mhm.
root beer flavored that I like. And then they also have teas. So they have a
Okay.
sweet tea, they have a peach tea. The peach tea is quite good. They have a
Mhm.
blueberry tea, which I really like. And then they also
Blueberry.
have
Alright.
an Arnold Palmer, like half lemonade, half tea.
Ah.
Yeah. So no, I really like it. I gotta be honest, like part of what drew me to it is the cans, and I like this one especially. Like I stopped at my tracks and I went, well, because as far as like my favorite cereals, Fruity Pebbles is in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that part of me where I had to try.
Mm-hmm.
I had to, but I also did that with the flaming hot Cheetos Mountain Dew.
That just sounds like
I tried that shit, and that was literally a case.
I.
That was literally a case of going, okay, I gotta know. Now, truth be told, okay, I didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I I liked it. I didn't love it. It wasn't gross. I didn't spit it out. But what it tasted like, so it didn't taste anything like Cheetos. What it
Right.
actually really tasted like was, you know, those Red Hots candies?
Yes, I
It
do.
tasted like that.
I wouldn't like it because I don't like those red hot. It's like they're too. I mean, too. Um, too red hot. I don't know. Or like they're so is there's like a it sounds like there's like a hint of cinnamon.
Oh, it wasn't just a hint.
Yeah, see, dude, I love cinnamon, but I can't do like
It was okay. It wasn't great,
right.
but it was something. It was something that, once again, like I had to say, I tried,
Mm,
and I like I didn't dump it out like it was crap or anything. Like it was fine. I just didn't think it was anything spectacular because it really wasn't.
yeah. Well,
The
see, as
Mountain Dew
soon
that
as you
I like
call it
is,
fine,
huh?
as soon as you say it's fine in any sense of the word, I know it's shit. So there we.
Let's go with it was okay.
Hmm. Well, see, just the cadence and the tone that you said okay just tells me I don't know if it was okay.
They're like, got it.
It's like it just seems, yeah, yeah. Ugh,
Yeah,
wow. Oh.
very much a case of, very much a case of, um, like I just had to know. It
Mhm.
wasn't. I didn't expect to. I didn't expect to like it and then hoard it. Like, oh god, I
Yeah.
gotta buy 20. I gotta buy 20 cases now because if they take it off
Mhm.
the shelves, like my life will be ruined. Um,
Mhm.
no, I just wanted to try, and I liked it. I didn't love it. Now, the worst Mountain Dew I've ever had was, and this was rough.
Mhm.
It was the gingerbread spice Mountain Dew.
I don't think I've had that, and I love gingerbread, but oh,
This,
that
okay,
just doesn't
first of
sound
all,
good.
it looked like watered down jizz.
Oh,
It did. It was. If you take a Google at it, you'll see it was
so
it was very suspect looking.
women and gay men love the drink that.
It was it the color, not the consistency, not the fluency or the the viscous side of it, if you will. That
It's
wasn't an issue, but the color was like fucking Ron Jeremy working at the plant now. Just
mhm. I now want to get. I would love to get some and like take it around to women and be like, "What does this remind you of? And would you drink it?"
That, you know what? That reminds me. That makes me think of like Gwyneth Paltrow's like pussy candles, where like
Wait,
if
whoa,
somebody
whoa, wait, whoa. What's this now?
you've never heard of those?
No, is
Oh,
this a
Gwyneth,
real thing? Hold
yeah,
on.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm pulling this up
Gwyneth
because we
Paltrow.
need to see this. Gwyneth Paltrow, hold on, let me go to Google. All right. Yeah, because I'm
Candles.
pulling this up. Gwyneth Gwyneth Paltrow. T-R-O-W. Ah, Gwyneth Paltrow candle. Let's click it.
Yes.
Let me click on images and see. Well, let's see.
Yeah, she made a candle called "This Smells Like My Vagina."
I mean, yeah, I saw the.
Yeah,
Wow.
that stands out. But no, when I think of that, you know what I
Oh,
want?
I thought it was a candle that was shaped in a vid. I thought.
No, 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 no,
Oh my god. I
no, not
thought
that
it was gonna be
crazy.
the thing that's like,
No,
when the flame comes out of the lips.
I'd buy it.
Yeah,
No, but I always was like if somebody lit that candle and she said it smells like her vagina, and then like a friend of the family goes, "Nope, that smells more like her sister."
no.
That's her cousin. That's Maggie. That's not Gwyneth.
Oh, that
But
would
that's what you
be.
get for making shit like that.
Are they still produced today? Because I want to smell her vagina.
I'm
I
good.
really, I need to smell it.
She has so here in Utah,
Hmm.
she's not very well liked because so I think this was about 3 or 4 years ago,
Hmm.
but she was a part of a legal case where
Oh,
the
I
skiing,
remember that.
yeah,
I remember that
which is
conversation.
literally like 25 minutes up the road.
Hmm.
Yeah, she basically apparently ran into someone
Hmm.
and he tried to sue, and I think he tried to sue her for like big money too.
Hmm.
I think it was like 70 million. Like he tried to sue her
Holy shit.
for like injuries and running into him, and he lost.
Hmm.
And in my mind, it's like, okay, to be in Park City, you got to have money. I get that, but
Right.
you're literally going after a woman who's like a pawn multi millionaire.
Right.
But there's I don't know if it's still playing. It was probably fucking stupid because it's Utah, and this what counts as a sense of humor here does not play. It's funny how so many people are like Utah's edgy. I'm like, yeah, butter knife edgy, sure. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, not as edgy as a fucking ladle, sure. Um, they did a play about her,
Oh
and
shit.
yeah, and it was meant to be like a satire making fun of the whole case. But yeah,
Hmm.
like, and they sell like stickers and shirts, like kind of defaming her in many ways. But yeah,
Oh
she's not
really?
very well liked in Utah.
Hmm. Wow.
And the last time I checked, like her net worth, she's like, I don't give a fuck.
Mhm.
Yeah, Gwyneth
She's not
Paltrow's
even
worth,
really acting
worth about
anymore.
$200 million. She could give two
Huh.
fucks less about Park fucking City.
And she's not even really acting anymore, is she? I haven't seen her in anything right lately.
No, not as she used to.
Yeah.
No, no, she's very much. I mean, she still acts here and there, but like I'm pretty sure her I'm pretty sure her contract is up with Marvel, and she's probably just focusing on whatever she's doing now. And yeah,
So wait, she was in Iron Man? She was in
she was
Marvel
Pepper
movies
Potts.
after? Well, yeah, I know she was in that, but she was so I figured she was in Iron Man 3, but she's been in other movies since Iron Man 3?
Yeah, well, she's been in a couple of other Marvel ones.
No shit. Was she there when Iron Man died?
She was. She was in Endgame.
Like, did she cry over his corpse?
She kind of did, yeah. Like literally.
So she's still alive, or did they
Well,
kill her?
Pepper Potts is, but I'm pretty sure we're headed for a pretty big. I'm pretty sure we're headed for a pretty big revamp after Feige leaves.
So you mean revamp? Like they're gonna DC, or they're gonna do to Marvel what DC did to DC, or James Gunn did to DC?
They really need to, because, and look, on paper the ideal of RDJ coming back is like, okay, that's cool,
Mm-hmm.
but you and I both know it also kind of reeks of desperation.
I mean,
Like
wait.
when you only really have nostalgia left, which they kind of, it
Mhm.
feels like they do in some cases, you can't
Mhm.
you can only do so much with that. and
So
and
are you?
RDJ is, I mean, that guy's always been their ace in the hole. So,
So, but wait. So you're saying that Paul isn't going to be Ant-Man anymore?
well, I think he is. I just don't know for how long.
See, I don't know if my brain can compute that. And if we get to a point where he's not Ant-Man, I don't think I want to see Ant-Man anymore because he is my Ant-Man.
Well, I remember when they decided they were going to do an Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty cool because it goes back to when you growing up as a kid and you like these characters and the comic books and stuff, and you just don't see that they're going to go do that. Like, you don't connect that one day they're going to put them to film or anything to that effect. And for
Yeah.
somebody like me, I was always a firm believer. It was like, yeah, you give it a shot and see if it works. But, Iron Man, even by himself, was like more of a C-list character. Like, he was known in pop culture passing, but
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't like Spider-Man or Superman. Like, he wasn't a big. It wasn't a big character in that sense.
Yeah.
So Ant-Man was another case where it's like, oh shoot, you're gonna do Ant-Man. Like, how are you gonna go about this? And especially because Hank Pym was the original Ant-Man, and
Mm-hmm.
that carried over until Scott Lang. Now, the Scott Lang storyline side was going to. It was always going to be unique because in the comic, he's kind of more of a bad guy. Not that he's an out and out villain, but
Right.
he didn't earn the actual suit. He stole it and then basically became Ant-Man, which is
Mm-hmm.
not far off from what they did in the first movie.
Right.
Um, but especially when they cast Rudd, because it's Rudd. How do you not love Paul Rudd?
Exactly. 100%.
Like when people sit there and say, you know, um, just the ideal of, how do I put it? Just the ideal of, making it more comedic, like from a casting
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, and that's to Marvel's credit. Now, where they did fuck up was Edgar Wright was attached for many, many years.
Right.
Many, many years. And I, like you think of like directors that should definitely make those type of movies. Edgar
Mhm.
Wright comes to mind. Like it's still unfortunate. It's still unfortunate that that hasn't happened yet, because I think it was about 2 weeks before they were supposed to start filming. Marvel
Mhm.
went behind his back and like changed a bunch of the script.
Really?
Yeah, and he had worked on it for years, like previs and like preparing to do this.
Hmm.
So once it all finally came around, it was like, and kudos and credit to Edgar Wright when they changed it, because he was literally like, and Marvel had started doing that early on, but we know now,
Mhm.
based on how other movies perform, they make cuts in
Mhm.
their budget or they make changes in their script and stuff like that. That's
Mhm.
that's part of the reason why a lot of these movies feel so inconsistent now, because they don't really go with the flow. They change
Right.
the release dates for Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars
Mhm.
right after the Thunderbolts came out, and people didn't see it, and it sucks because the Thunderbolts is actually very entertaining. I thought it was a good time. It was probably one of the better movies they had made in a while. And right after that, they jumped into these changes, and it was super obvious because literally the release dates changed by about 6 months, 2 weeks after Thunderbolts came out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I did notice that that shit got shifted. They did shift, like, a lot of dates, it seems like, just because. Is that, like, damage control or what the like, I don't.
Part of it, what usually it means in those cases is,
Mm.
like Thunderbolts didn't perform well, and anything that was
Right.
probably focusing on those characters got changed or minimized to where
Mm.
now they're not going to be in it so much, or they're going to change something along these lines.
So we won't see any more Thunderbolts movies or whatever, you don't think at this
Well,
point?
I don't know if we'll see a sequel,
Mhm.
but I don't know if we'll see a sequel. We'll see them more in the MCU, but
Mm.
they were really trying to set up. I mean, really, and I take it you haven't seen Thunderbolts yet.
I'm still only as far as I am with the timeline, MCU cinematic timeline that I'm working through, so I'm still. And Thunderbolts is on there, but it's at the end of it, so I'm not even close to that yet.
Well, and for me, you know, they tried so hard to set
Mhm.
up the Thunderbolts as the next Avengers, which, okay, I get why, but it probably wasn't the smartest idea. Just my 2 cents.
Well, why did I okay. I'm really, like when I heard of this Thunderbolts movie, I don't know why, but fucking Thundercats popped into my head, and I kept thinking, I'm like, "Is that what the fuck is this Thundercats?" Is like, why, I'm telling you, like, I really don't know shit about like comic books and all this other stuff with it, Damn. So, see, so you have to school me on all this shit because I have no idea what the fuck I'm watching, what I'm
What
seeing,
I'm
any of
here
this.
for.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue. So, okay. So I've learned a lot today, or I've learned that well, I already learned before about the Marvel and the DC thing, but now it all makes sense. And I was a moron forever thinking that they were joined in the first place. Although maybe when Marvel is retooled, they might talk to Warner Brothers a little bit.
I would, DC, talking about this subject, and especially now seeing DC being at kind of a precipice of kind of a new era.
Right,
Well, era, not error, we hope. And
right,
I think one thing that I'm really, I wouldn't say torn, but I do kind of dig in the case of this Superman movie is, yes, and you might have heard that, he introduces like a shit ton of characters.
right. Yeah, I did hear about that.
And there is a lot. But he's kind of paving, and to his credit, he's kind of paving the way, which I really like. Because what it's basically doing is it's going to allow for this change. And if you need, I guess the best way to put it, if you need an origin story, that's cool.
Right,
But I'm also one of those types that's like, yeah, you can kind of fill in the blanks if you know what you're doing. And that actually happens a lot with this movie, big time. So it's kind of interesting to see how that all plays. So real quick, if we can do a little potty break.
yes, we can do a
And,
potty break. I will. Yes. Let me find it here. Do I have something? I don't know if I do or not. Oh boy, I don't want to play that because they're gonna. I'll play this.
All right, we're back.
Yes, we are back.
And it's Mr. Steve.
Oh, look at that.
Uh-huh. And he has a theme song. I'll have to put him out in a minute because he's already struggling out of my arms. He's like, no,
Oh, he doesn't like it?
no,
No.
yeah.
Oh.
I love you, buddy.
Oh, look at
What?
him.
Can I do your theme song? Mr. Steve. Oh, it's Mr. Steve. He doesn't like my song while he's trying to sleep. But I love him so much, you fuzzy SOB. Mr. Steve. Okay, you can go. I've embarrassed you enough. Okay, go. Bye, Felicia.
Oh, he's a good boy.
He is a very good boy. He's getting used to being with his new sister.
That's going well, I take it.
It's a bit of a process, and not like in a bad way. But what it is that when Boom passed, he was 17, and when my girlfriend got Steve, Boom was already like 10, and Steve was a kitten.
Right.
Steve is now like 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah, the kitten, she's like 10 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hang on one sec. Let me see if I can get her.
I'm not going to play music over this. We will just wait for Theo to come back because I'm sure he'll be back shortly. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
So this is Sarah, everybody. Everybody, this is Sarah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi.
I'll tell you something. The first... Hi, sweetie, I know. Yeah, I got you, sweetie. Just hang on. Okay, go down. Fine. God damn, your claws are sharp. When we got her, Steve was trying to adjust and everything. And it's still an adjustment because there's sometimes he just wants to be left alone, and she's like, "Come play with me." There is many cases of that, but they do get along well and they cuddle and stuff. But the first day we got her, and she was part of an unscheduled kind of litter. So when we got her, she had been kind of just with her siblings and had not seen anything outside of that. And they took good care of her. I mean, unfortunately those spaces are confined, but she wasn't mistreated. She's not sickly or anything. But she, whatever food, because a lot of times that stuff they go off of donations. So the cats there get what gets donated, and it's not like they get bad food, but it's kind of like they may not have a set diet, or it's whatever's available, whatever's brought in. And we've even made donations as far as like wet food or whatever, or just even like sending them money. It's like, yeah, if I had my way, I'd adopt all 50 kittens and be like, all right, run around, you fucks.
Right.
But her first day and a half, and I ain't even lying, that kitten had some of the most stinky ass fucking farts I had ever. Well, and a lot of it was probably just pushing through like what her diet and kind of regiment had been. Because like when we got her, when we actually saw her,
yeah,
she was with her siblings, and there's only, and it's kind of unfortunate because there's only so much space there, and they take them out to like take care of them or do whatever, but it's not a case of like getting a lot of time walking around. There is a lot of that, they're kind of in the cage and it's kind of secluded. You feel kind of bad for them when you stop and look at it. They did take very good care of her, absolutely. But those first 2 days, day and a half, oh my God, that fucking cat just reeked.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I was like, I kid you not. I was like, is this cat for real? Because she's fucking rank. And the reason why I know is, well, the first one she busted, like charmed the paint off the fucking walls. But the second
Mhm.
one, she'll sometimes like kind of sit on my chest. Well, she was turned the other
Mhm.
way and she farted in my fucking mouth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I took a big hit off of that bong. Come here. Sit down.
Oh.
I'll put you out. I'll put you out of the room. I know you just took a big shit.
Mm.
I know I smelt it.
Oh, jeez.
That dookie is so big. It's like, how do you keep that in the little body? Okay, say bye.
Bye-bye.
Sarah.
Oh.
God damn, you stink. Bye, sweetie. Love.
So so
Oh,
she's got, like, claws, like,
her
sharp.
claws are sharp as fuck.
Ugh.
She and being a kitten, that's kind of part of it too. Like, as a kitten, it is very much like it's not that she's looking to scratch people, but
Mhm.
her claws. She doesn't know. She just knows what she knows as her makeup allows.
Right. Right.
So for me, I'm like, you kind of just have to go, okay, that's cool, and kind of run with it. The problem is that she's so low to the ground, and especially
Mhm.
like with a lot of running around. Oh my god, like you should see some of the scars on my legs now.
So, okay, hold on. I had another real revelation.
I love
Here
revelations.
we go. No, this okay, so you're telling me that cats can choose when they want their claws in and when they want their claws out. Is that what you're saying?
A little, not.
Because I always thought they were just out all
No,
the time.
there's. I mean, they have their claws and they're always kind of there. But as far as like, and I don't want to use the term retracting because we're not talking about like Wolverine here, but they do kind of
Right.
extend, like when they need to climb and stuff.
Mhm.
And especially in the case of Sarah, there, like her claws are sharp as ugh. So yeah, they extend them when they need to, but they don't really like retract per se.
Ah. So, but how do her claws get less sharp? Is there a way to do that?
Well, you can do a couple things. So we could declaw. I, you know, I'm not a fan of declawing, and I get it. Like
Yeah.
people have furniture and want to keep them in check. I'm
Mhm.
one of those people. It's like, and I get like spade and neutering too, but it's also like kind of a kind of mutilation, and in some cases, depending on how their nails might have been done, because this happened with Boom, some of his paws ended up growing kind of crooked.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Oh.
and you feel kind of bad for him, and it probably wasn't particularly comfortable when he got older.
Right.
So that's the thing for me, where it's like, yeah, I you don't want him clawing everything up, but I'm also like of the mindset. It's like, well, yeah, you don't necessarily want to take that from them. Like that's literally part of their physical makeup.
Mhm.
You know, one thing I know they have now, because you can actually trim claws on cats and kittens,
Mhm. I can
but
trim.
there are some now. I think they make them for dogs. I would guess they make them for cats. I don't know, but you can actually do like a wrap across their paws.
Right.
But it probably feels foreign to them. Like I remember we tried walking Steve. We actually bought like a harness with a leash to try to walk him
Mm.
outside. Oh my god. He was in that thing for about 40 seconds
Mhm.
and it felt like he tried to walk but then like contorted. So
Oh.
I thought the cat was having a fucking stroke. I was
Oh my god.
like is he okay?
So did you just take him out after that? Like, just,
No, well what we do, especially for him, because Steve was a stray and then was an outdoor
Mhm.
cat for a long time.
Right.
Where we live, and we've lived for obviously a few years, follows this road. And the
Mhm.
problem is that, drivers, Utah or anywhere, they're idiots and they may not stop. And it's a pretty active
Mhm.
roadway, so they may not see him and something might happen to him. So we unfortunately keep him inside.
Mhm.
I would love to be able to take him out. He loves the outdoors and all that stuff, but
Mm.
it's not that cut and dry. So
Right.
what we do is we'll open some of the windows, and one by the kitchen has a screen, so he
Mm.
gets a little fresh air and stuff like that. And then we also get him cat grass, so he can kind of play around in that a little bit.
Mhm.
But it's a bit of a bummer because it's you know cats like that, domesticated by their nature, they're kind of prowlers. Like, yes, they're domesticated, but I know how much he loves the outdoors.
Mhm.
So I kind of, you know what I mean. I feel for him. It's kind of a bummer. I personally, I personally would like if that wasn't the case for him, but there's only so much we can do, and of course he may not realize it, but that's for his health and safety.
Mhm.
Because people can be bonehead fucking drivers.
Very true.
So,
Very, very true.
but yeah, that's my two cat boogers,
Hmm.
and they are,
Very
and
nice.
and it's funny because having a kitten, like the last time I had kittens,
Mhm.
when like my kids were small and we lived in Germany at the time. So
Mm.
I hadn't actually dealt with kittens in like forever. So it was very unique to, for the first time in many years, have a kitten.
Mhm.
And it is, I mean, we call them fur babies for a reason, but it is very much like it is very it is very much as you would expect, like trying to
Mm.
change these little fuckers down, where it's like,
Right?
hey, get out of there! Don't do that! Stop that! What are you doing? Get out of there!
Mhm. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, cat, and I mean, I love dogs,
Mhm.
but I also am one of those people, like, cats. Cats intrigue me
Mhm.
because the way cats react to certain things you don't normally see out of other domesticated animals, and different cats can have kind of different ways about themselves. For my money, cats are like, okay, so here's proof that we might have life on other planets, because many
Mhm.
cats are just fucking bizarre. Especially Sarah is like a kitten. Oh my god, she's a goofball. But part of it is because she's a kitten, and up until us adopting her and her moving here, being with us, she had never known anything outside of the area she was kept in with her siblings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like I said, she wasn't maltreated. She's very healthy. She won't stop eating. That's for sure. Um, but it is also the other side. You almost feel kind of bad because it's like, yeah, they don't want to be cooped up. When we got her, the day we got her, like we still have the box. We brought her in the carrier box,
Mhm.
and she was meowing and like trying to figure out like what the hell's going on. But that was literally as far as we know, and we're pretty sure we're right on this one.
Mhm.
That was the first time she had really been out of um, that facility. So just
Oh,
that car ride for her was like, what is going on? And keep in mind, she was in a box. We hadn't even got her in the house yet or in the apartment.
right. Mhm.
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, cats are fun.
Yeah.
Cats amuse me, and especially when they're kittens, because it reminds me once again of children. Like they don't know boundaries. They're just like I'm gonna fucking do whatever. Like, all right, you do that. Good
Mhm.
luck. Um, and of course, I think pets, as long as you take care of them, and part of the hard thing with animals is, they should be for life.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer of that because
Yeah.
especially now, and obviously for many years, the age of social media, like they're not just animals. They're part of our lives. Like we take pictures and we post about them and put them on streaming podcast shows, and
Mhm.
they are a part of our we are a part of their trajectory as much as they are a part of ours. Like,
Mhm.
their points, like when Boom passed, my girlfriend, she could literally fit him in the palm of her hand,
Oh, wow.
you know and he 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 left us at 17. Like, that that was that was his human, her, for all of his life. She moved a few times, and every time she moved with him. So
Mhm.
he only ever knew her as mom.
Right.
And then me, when I came into the picture, and you know him being, of course, part of us, the family, that was like 6 years, 6.5 years. So yeah,
Wow.
that's what's really hard about pets, because, and it's like, it is, because people are like, oh, it's just an animal. It's like losing a family member. Like, you go through things with them.
Mhm.
It's symbiotic. You have
Right.
you have times where it's great and you celebrate with them, and then you have times where it's not so great. And it's not necessarily even like their health. It's like things you go through. Losing jobs, losing relationships, gaining a job, gaining a relationship. Um,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, that was hard with Boom. And even from my perspective, like, I can't, I mean, I miss that cat dearly. And it was hard because the day we got her, the night, there's
Mhm.
a pile of blankets in the bedroom where he used to kind of sleep on sometimes. And
Mhm.
Sarah was there, the kitten, and she was comfortable. And I know this sounds like super hokey, but I love my fur babies. And I think we really lucked out with Sarah. Like, her and Steve get along. She's not sickly. She doesn't seem to have any issues. We just got to keep her up, of course, up on her vaccinations.
Right.
But she sat on those pile of blankets, and she just sat there, and I crawled up next to her, and I was petting her, and I was like, "Hey,"
Oh.
I said, shit, I'm gonna start crying.
Oh.
I said,
That's good, though. I mean,
I said, and like I said, I know, you know, animals, like people, they sense. I believe they sense energies. And
oh, definitely.
with Sarah, like I was telling her, I scratched her. I said, unfortunately, you'll probably never know this. I said, but you had another brother behind Steve, and
Oh.
his name was Boom. And I said, we had him for a long time. And I said, he loved us, we loved him, and he was great. And really was, just a great cat. He was such a part of the family. But also, I told her, I was like, he really liked that spot right there. And in his older years, he was like a grumpy old cat. So I was like, I told her, I said, yeah, all this energy you running around, I was like, he would have hated that shit.
Yeah. Oh,
He would have
definitely.
just looked at you and been like so overwhelmed. He would like, fuck is this? But for me, being sweet with her and telling the story, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit, because we're grateful to have her, but the only reason why we have her is because Boom is gone.
Oh. Yeah,
So
that is.
it's yeah. Like, I got up, like everybody else was asleep and stuff, and I got up from that and I started crying, because I was like, yeah, we're so grateful we're so grateful to have her, but we
Mhm.
miss Boom every day. And obviously being in his older years, and it was funny because I've seen video of him like running around and like running up people's legs with like his claws as like a cat or as a kitten, and he was crazy. And even though like I met him at 10 and like he was getting older, so he had like his afupa,
Mhm.
and he had a big afupa too, especially for a cat. But he was in always in good spirits. He ate very well, but
Mhm.
you could tell like he was one of those cats that as he got older, you could still tell he still had that fight in him. Where like when he was a kitten, you knew he was a holy terror. And yeah, that was very yeah, just talking to her and having that moment, like I got misty and I cried because I was like, yeah, Sarah, welcome to the family. We love you. You're gonna be loved and well taken care of. And you know, if you ask Steve, you know you're going to a good home. But
Mhm.
you're here because Boom is gone. And as much as we're happy to have her here, we still miss Boom every fucking day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
His best the best one for him, or at least what I remember, I used to call it the complaint department. Because he would get up on our pillows and he wouldn't lay down. He would stand above us, like sit, like how cats sit, for about 10 minutes. And he wouldn't give full meows. It's like he was reciting a speech. I'd be like,
Mhm.
"What's going on, Boom?" He'd be like, "Meow, meow, 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 meow." And the whole time I'm just waiting for a translation where he's like, "Yeah, the mac and cheese was too runny, and you didn't have a good beer selection. 2 stars, don't recommend." Like you didn't know what he was saying, but he was like, as far as like he was concerned,
Mhm.
the conviction of whatever he was saying was like spot on. Where he was
Right.
like, "Let me tell you."
Mhm.
And he would do that so much, and especially like if he would stop and then start again, it was like the
Mhm.
equivalent of "and another thing."
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Cats always. I mean, pets in general. It's but me personally, and everybody's of course different, but in cats in an apartment setting, I think is more better.
Mhm.
I've seen people who have like dogs, like big fucking dogs here, and I'm like, oh my dear God, like
Mhm.
what does that look like? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, and it's not that these are like dinky apartments, but I also think about like looking at some of these animals, their well being, where it's very much a case of like, you know, do they? And of course, people walk their dogs, and trust me, because I see all the dog shit in the grass. But
Mhm.
I just, as far as like being there all day, like being kind of cooped up, like the people next to us, well, it's a different group now, but there was a woman there and she had these 3 yappy fucking dogs. And we put up with that for like a fucking year and a half. And she was always like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're responsible for that. You fucking figure it out. Because if I'm paying rent within these walls to be kind of a part of this area, a citizen of this complex, if you will,
Right.
I
Mhm.
know in the lease it says if I have pets, I need to fucking reel them in. And if I don't fucking reel them in, then I better get responsible about it, or the little fuckers are getting the toss.
Right.
So, yeah, when she was like, "Well, I'll do my best," I was like, "No, no, 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 no. Your best better get a lot fucking better."
Mhm. Mhm.
But fortunately, I don't have to deal with that anymore. But yeah, oh my God, 5 in the fucking morning. These 3 little, and look, people like what they like as far as dogs. I grew up with like German shepherds and like dobies.
Mhm.
So when you say you have a dog and you have one of those little cocker chihuahua muskrat fucking spaniel things where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I have a dog. It's like, no, you have a rodent that's partially evolved. It's not a fucking
Mhm.
dog. Like like one of her dogs, I shit bigger than that fucking thing.
Mhm.
She was like, yeah, it's my little Precious. I'm like, no, Precious was a fucking ring they threw in Mordor.
Mhm. That's it.
Yeah. Granted, we don't have to deal with that now, thank goodness. Because for me, that shit was ridiculous. I was like, I'm not. And we would tell her, and once again, like the ideal of pet ownership, like, yeah, we have our fur babies too. But
Mhm.
let's be clear. It's still a matter of being maintained. Like, let's say for whatever reason, you know, my our kittens burrowed through a wall. We would
Right.
be held responsible. Same thing with like dogs barking in the middle of quiet hours. And like I said, once they would start, because there was three of them, they would not stop.
Right.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I can get that.
I
That's
don't miss that shit. I wanted to punt those little motherfuckers like an NFL game. Just poof. It's good. LA Rams up by
That's
two.
true. Mhm.
Yeah. And little dogs like that too. It's like they don't qualify as dogs. They're not they're not pleasing on the eyes. They're not fun. That's for fucking sure.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, that is true. Some of them are ugh, ugh,
Yeah.
very just ugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Pets are kind of fun that way. Speaking of pets, the new Superman has crypto.
I was gonna ask you about that too. Does he steal the show? Because
He
I'm
does.
reading all these posts. Every fucking thing says that pet
He's
adoption or dog adoption has increased like
It
500%.
was. I saw that. And that's a good point to bring up. So, for those who don't know, dog adoption apparently, reportedly, has gone up like 500% since the Superman movie, and then the them bringing on crypto. And I love, first of all, they've made, what was it? Legion of Super Pets, whatever that animated movie was, and they had crypto, and I think Rock the Dwayne Johnson
Well,
was
so
was
there's a legion of wait. So is Legion of Super Pets like the pets of the Justice League?
yes.
See, my brain is starting to make connections. It's all coming together now. I love it. This is great.
And I love the ideal of bringing some of those characters. It goes back to the tone that this particular Superman movie has, because you wouldn't like the Christopher Reeve or definitely like Man of Steel. You wouldn't see crypto
Right.
like that wouldn't equal
Mhm.
this. With James Gunn, because we are getting that more lighthearted, closer to animated kind of tone.
Mhm.
We are very much like the ideal of a super dog under those circumstances make sense. You wouldn't watch Dawn of Justice and be like, "Well, where the fuck is crypto?"
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, it's no, it's once again, it definitely goes to the tone. You know, Gunn, what he sees for this DC verse that he's doing is he wants it to be fun, and he wants it to be energetic, And he knows darn well that there's a line there, because you don't want it to be too goofy and silly or whatever. You want to make it enjoyable and you want to make it fun, but you know that you can go too far in one way if you're not careful. But in this particular case, the direction he's going too far is kind of the point. Like, once again, it feels very much like a live action animated series. It feels, I mean, very much in the case of like a comic book. But like, if you were a fan of like the Justice League animated series, like I was, like, that's what I got out of this, where it's very much of that nature. And I will say, because with credits, the movie plays at, I think it's 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Superman does. Yeah, I was
So
wondering. So it doesn't seem like it's over long either. Like, it just seems like it moves. Not that.
It moves very quickly, and the introduction of the characters move very quickly too. That's probably the reasoning behind why we don't get a lot from these characters shoved in, because that's not what he's going for.
Mhm.
A lot of it is go, go, go. I mean, now that I think about it, especially after watching it again last night, a lot of it is very go, 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 which isn't a bad thing.
No, I wonder what your takeaway will be after time number 3 tomorrow, though. Like, will you
Um,
still?
well, I I love it as much as I do, and I hope I don't eat shit on this, because this is the best way for me to put it.
Mhm.
I love, and this is just from this one movie. We've got Supergirl
Okay.
next year. We've got the Lantern series, and there's certainly more on the way that they're working on. Wonder Woman, Clayface. Like, there's already a lot of irons in the fire for
And he is
things
doing
behind the
another
scenes.
Superman movie, apparently. I guess
But the
so.
the kicker here, the biggie here, if you will,
Mhm.
is just seeing how this is going to play, because he started the Creature Commandos, the animated series, but truth be told, this is the first piece of what's to come in what's supposed to be a 10-year plan.
Right.
And what he wants is, he wants to, and it's similar. There's some stuff tonally definitely feels like the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, but a lot of what really takes place with just this first one is he's throwing you into the mix very quickly.
Mhm.
As far as like overall origins, we're not going to see a ton of that, because that's
Right.
going to take the foot off the gas. We will get what we need, but he is very much inclined to really go for the entertainment side. And it very much is like, yeah, if you want like a brooding Superman that's like trying to figure out his place on Earth and how it references the universe, like why he was sent here, go
Right.
watch Man of Steel. That's why I started with, hey, if you love the Snyderverse that much, I got news for you. It's not coming back. And one thing that's so funny is the media, as well as the Snyder heads and the people who love James Gunn stuff and all this back and forth. There is something that these chuckleheads haven't figured out yet. So 2004, let's dial that clock back.
Okay.
4, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Zack Snyder directs his first feature, which is the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
With Ving Rhames and Jake Weber and Sarah Polley. And it's got Down with the Sickness from Richard Cheese, which is how I discovered Richard Cheese. And I've seen him twice in Vegas in concert.
Huh.
Guess who wrote that script?
James Gunn wrote that, didn't he?
James fucking Gunn. They have actually been friends for years. And they've known each other. They did that Rick and Morty episode together.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Which is cute,
I
yeah.
heard about that.
And what's so great is that at no point is it like, oh well, is he gonna this? Is he gonna that? It's two different animals. To try to compare the Snyderverse, to the Gunverse, even with just one movie in the James Gunverse, is like trying to compare Raimi's trilogy of Spider-Mans to John Watts' trilogy of Spider-Mans. They're not the same animals. And you can enjoy them equally as well as separately.
But can you bring them together?
No, and they shouldn't be brought together.
No.
No.
Yeah, but they were kind of, in a way, they were brought together with Dawn of the Dead in 2004, and that worked.
Well, no, I mean as far as those two working together.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think. Let's put it this way. I don't think Snyder would have the kind of pull or power that he used to, because his DCEU didn't really set the world on fire.
Right.
And it sucks because they, I mean, let's be clear, they burned through a shit ton of money.
Right.
like Dawn of Justice was easily, with marketing and everything, was easily like $350 million.
Yeah, but I don't understand why, like, they wouldn't bring James Gunn in and have the two of them work together on something.
I mean, they could, but I don't know. I don't know at this point if Warner Brothers would be down with that. And I don't think, I mean, a lot of filmmakers, they fall out of favor with studios. That's nothing new. But I think the kicker here is, and the separation too, because the last, what was it, 2 years ago was the last DCU, the Aquaman sequel, which nobody watched. and that was part of knowing that was going away. It was hard to get people to want to see like Black Adam and Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle, because Blue Beetle's a good time. Those movies, because everybody already knew that James Gunn was going to take over. So it was very much a case of, like, it was no great secret that Snyder was basically out. And he had already done the Snyder Cut. So, truth be told, I mean, could Gunn bring him back in some way? Sure. Do I think it's a good idea? I do not. Because if you already have enough of the fanboys who are shitting themselves over just one movie, like, I mean, Gunn, I mean, the Creature Commando series is hilarious. But when you look at, like, what he's done for his universe, he's got one movie under his belt. He's the big boss, so he can't, that's another thing too, and it also happened kind of with Snyder, where he can't direct them all.
Right.
James Gunn obviously is the guy who signs off on it. Excuse me, it's his stamp on everything. But when you look at the ideal, of how much time is really left. Now, we also have to keep in mind whether or not that actually is going to work, because Superman's doing well. It appears that it's going to probably get close to $1 billion,
Mm-hmm.
and at least for this week, the time being, his universe, his DC verse, is getting off to a really good start.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, you know, Warner Brothers, and think about it, like this was 2013, so 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers was all in with Zack Snyder doing his Superman.
Hmm.
So, fans can be fickle, studios can change things. One thing that I thought was funny, and I don't know if you knew this, going back to, and I don't think this is a bad one, but it's very okay,
Mm-hmm.
is the Black Adam movie. And my hang up with the Black Adam movie
Mm-hmm.
is my hang up with the Black Adam movie is so as a fan of DC, which I've talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
when they talk about certain characters, I'm like, oh my god, they're bringing that to the screen. I've mentioned that many times, even today.
Mm-hmm.
But Black Adam was a character that I loved, and Dwayne Johnson decided to do, and it took ages to get him to finally do it, because when he signed on for it, he was already turning into kind of the big deal that he now is.
Right.
Me personally, I liked the movie. I didn't love it. I did see it opening night with my son.
Mm-hmm.
We had fun with it, but at no point, even though he pitched the idea that, okay, this is going to be the next big thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, Black Adam is gonna, reinvigorate the DCEU, and Dwayne Johnson wants to be the guy to head it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a movie that took 15 years to get on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch it, you're like, oh, that's it? We waited, excuse me, we waited 15 years for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of an unfortunate product of the people involved and how it all went. Once again, is it a terrible movie? No. Is it great? No.
No.
Was it going to fix the issues with DCU? No. Not even fucking close. And Dwayne Johnson had tried really hard to kind of take the reins over for DC Studios. And part of what was funny is that being the promoter type that he is, he really tried to lay in the fact that these movies that Black Adam was a runaway success. Well, guess what? It wasn't.
Nope. Nope.
It wasn't even close to a runaway success. Was it a good time? Yeah, I had fun with it. Was it worth waiting 15 years for? Not a fucking chance.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely not.
when they brought in James Gunn, I was happy. And of course, there's going to be haters and detractors. And for me personally, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Right.
He knew long before he started working on Superman. He knew years long before it became official that he was going to take over this position, that social media exists, and that he was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
he was going to be either the target or he was going to be the upside. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. To quote an amazing comic book movie.
Yes.
Have you seen The Dark Knight?
I've seen. Yes, I love The Dark.
I
love The Dark
wasn't
Knight.
trying to insult you, but I had to
No,
ask
the
because some
dark.
of them.
No, the dark.
Oh,
The
The
Dark
Dark
Knight
Knight.
is
Yeah.
Joker. So I had to do. I love like Batman and the Joker and all that shit. So
Yes.
yeah.
Oh
No, I
yeah.
saw that one. But
I
yeah.
remember. So one of my, and I have quite the memory of all the times I went to Batman movies. But truly, one of my biggest ones that I remember was, and I had just got back from a deployment, and my mother-in-law, married at the time, she came over, she came to visit, and she watched the kids. And I had just got done with work, and we decided to go see The Dark Knight. And of course, Batman, like, fuck yeah, I'm stoked. And I was watching it, and of course, I was definitely into it. But where I really, and it was one of those moments where you got to kind of watch the audience react. And it was, oh, so great. Was the, how about a magic trick? I'm going to make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone. And the suit wasn't cheap. You ought to know. You bought it. You really think you can steal from us and get away with it? Yeah. You want to
That's a
know how
pretty
I
good
got
fucking
these
impression.
scars? My father was a drinker and a fiend. And one night he goes off crazier than usual. Mommy pulls out the kitchen knife. And he doesn't like that. Not one bit. Let's put a smile on that face. And that scene particularly, I love the whole, our operation is small. There's always room for aggressive expansion. So whichever one of you wants to join our team, oh, and there's going to be tryouts. Make it fast. Yeah. I
that
took Japanese for 5 years. I know like 10 things. I've watched that movie obviously many times over, and it's like all of that shit's burned in my head.
It's in your head, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's really good. Like you got it down. Like
I say dispense with some anarchy. And you want to know the nice thing about anarchy? It's fair. I love that with the hospital. Your men, your plan. Do I look like a guy with a plan?
oh shit, you're great.
Even if the plan is terrible, people will go along with it. But if one little thing goes out of sort, everyone loses their mind.
Dude, you got that down. You have that down perfect.
His
Oh
Joker
shit.
is just, I say, what doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
See, and that's the thing. You cannot compare his Joker to Nicholson's Joker because the thing is they're too different. They're
Exactly.
they're, they're different.
And
There's no
and
way to compare.
it's funny how people seem to think there's a rule where you have to like enjoy one or the other. And for me, it's
Right.
like, no, I enjoy them both to an equal extent, just differently because they're two different movies, two different visions. Like, especially when you look at like Burton and Nolan.
Yeah.
Those two filmmakers, and I enjoy them both very, very much. Those two
Totally.
filmmakers do not play anywhere near the same sandbox.
No.
Yeah.
No. But I've just always been, you know, I just kind of infatuated with the character ever since I first saw the '66 Batman with Cesar Romero and shit, the
Mhm.
series when watched that. He scared the shit out of me as a child, and I know I've said that before on some occasions, but
Well,
yeah, he
that's
literally
what's always
scared the
made him
shit out of
intriguing, especially when in contrast to, who his nemesis is, of course, who is Batman, and vice versa. And that's what always made them so great, because it was like they were so off from each other, yet a yin and yang, and that was done obviously intentionally.
me.
But
Right.
yeah, in the case of Heath, like, the Joker was treated almost more like an entity. Like, you never found out much about him, and you weren't supposed to. And I think maybe there was supposed to be in the third movie if he had lived, but with the way so much of that was done, it's like I mean, it was all just so well pulled off. And I don't know if you knew this, but so you know how he did a lot of licking on the side of his mouth?
Mhm.
That wasn't character related.
Oh, no?
No, what it was is that the makeup applications of the
Mhm.
scars would as he would move his mouth, they would move. They would start to
Mm.
actually peel away from his mouth. So when he would lick, it was a matter of trying to keep them on.
Ah,
Yeah. And
makes sense.
it just played with the character. It just played so well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's not blow things out of proportion. You think you can just steal from us and get away with it? Yeah.
Now I wanna fucking watch that again. Holy, I might have to do that.
So what are you proposing? It's simple, really. We kill the Batman.
Hmm.
Oh, if it's so easy, why don't you just do it? If you're good at something, you never do it for free. How much you want? Um, Half. You're crazy. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Or the look at me.
Mhm.
Why are you
Um,
dressed up like Batman if you're not him?
and that makes me wonder, like, if in you know, the Batman 2, if we'll get Joker in that one. I guess not, but it
Well,
would be nice, but I guess
we partially had the Joker at the end of the Batman, and two, the script has finally been turned in, and it's one of
yeah.
those tricky things where, and I'm excited for it, and James Gunn has always said when he decided to undertake this DC Studios that he was he was going to make he was going to make other movies outside of what was going to be his storyline.
Right.
And that kind of goes to in comic books, Marvel, DC, they play with the ideal of what if or other dimensions or other worlds.
Mhm.
Now, DC was no different, and they had a set of books called Elseworlds,
Mhm.
which played with one is called Red Sun, and it basically plays on the ideal that what if Superman's ship as a kid landed in Russia and not in Kansas?
Hmm.
Another one is Gotham by Gaslight, where Batman hunts down Jack the Ripper.
Mhm.
So there's always that. There's always room for like these different extended universes, and Gunn knows that. The trick, I think, especially with the Batman 2, is trying to get all the ducks in a row, because I love the one that Matt Reeves just did. Granted, it's very long, probably longer than it needs to
Right.
be. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's long as fuck.
It was long, but I mean, I still liked it, but it could definitely stand to be trimmed a little
Oh, I
bit
loved
there.
it a lot. I thought it was insanely well done. The
Mhm.
cinematography is fucking phenomenal. It is insane how great.
So James Gunn now has to sign off on all this shit. Like, he just
Yes, he
that's a big
it's very
responsibility.
interesting. It's very interesting to see, because so one of the first things he did
Mhm.
was he did kind of, and I don't think it was a live event, but it was like an open forum
Mhm.
where he basically asked people, and I chimed in on it too because I remember it, but he asked people flat out, what characters do you want to see in my DC cinematic universe? Which
Mhm.
is a very, very bold move, because you're not going to make everybody happy. Even if
No.
you do
No.
characters that you requested, even if he does characters that people requested, there is no guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, there is no guarantee that he can. There is no guarantee that he'll do them or do them to people's specifications. Because Superman's a perfect example. Obviously,
Mhm.
people are going to have their opinions, and they're either going to love it or hate it. And I think
Right.
what makes it so tricky is, I mean, I first and foremost love being a moviegoer. So at the end of the day, I don't play into too much. Oh well, it's not Snyder, it's not this. You either like it or you don't. And yeah, you can make the assertion that it's not like Snyderverse. No surprise. Like I didn't expect anything of Guns to mirror Zack Snyder's. Like there was no fucking way.
Mhm.
So for me, it was like, okay, and especially the first time seeing it, like being a big DC fan, being a softie for this kind of stuff, and just being so excited and emotional for it. I remember, Monday we were sitting there watching it, and they played the trailers, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'll try to not be too overtly emotional. And that changed the second the opening title card came out for DC Studios, because he did it like the old Superman, and then the actual logo is the old DC logo with the stars around it, which is what
Oh
I grew
shit.
up with on my comic books.
Mhm.
And right there alone, I was like, God damn it!
Mhm.
Like you're gonna make me emotional already, you motherfucker, which he did. So
Wow.
yeah, as
Wow.
far as Batman 2, I'm excited. I'm hoping that we get it sooner than later, but it's also, I mean, the first one got plagued a lot by COVID, by the pandemic. And
Mm.
truly, now it's like, yeah, they want to keep it going, but Matt Reeves's series of Batman movies are very much a carryover of a different regime.
Mhm.
So now you're kind of like, yeah, you can do the Elseworld stuff, but that's not James Gunn's priority. His
Right.
priority is to his universe and what he's bringing to DC and bringing to Warner Brothers. So When does that get cut away? Because I honestly thought they were going to shelf it.
Right. Oh yeah.
It
Oh, I
wasn't going to
definitely.
surprise me.
I'm surprised that they even. Well, I mean, I guess they brought him in to just breathe new life into it, and that was just. I mean, shit, he did already, but like, I don't know. It's like I wonder what they'll do going forward because I didn't know there was a poll out. I didn't know that he was asking like people who they wanted to see, but it's like I wonder where it's gonna go. What's gonna happen with it from here?
Yeah, I personally like. I mean, honestly, there's so much potential in the DC universe. And let me
Mm,
show you this. I probably haven't showed you this before. If you want to know my level of DC fandom,
mhm.
is this son of a bitch? Oh, I guess I glued it on. Whoops. Okay, never mind. That's not coming off the wall. But
Oh,
I have, and I have to send you a picture of it later. But a I have a picture, and it's basically like the Justice League, and it's all Jim Lee, who's one of my favorite comic artists. It's a lot
mhm,
of it's basically all his versions, his drawings of the characters. But if you want to know something interesting, especially about this new Superman, the James Gunn one, because for
mhm,
me as a big DC fan, I see all the inspiration, or at least most of it, where I'm like, oh, you got it from that comic. Oh, you got it from that comic.
mhm,
James Gunn's James Gunn's version of the suit is directly taken from an image. Um, is directly taken from an image from Jim Lee's comics.
mm.
Like when I first saw the suit, and people were like, "Oh, it's not showing enough muscles," and it's like and I can tell you right now, like there's no shirtless scene, but you can tell that man put on uh, David Cornsweat. He put on some weight. Like that cat is like buff as shit.
Right. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, he a big boy.
I'm really excited to see. I mean, I wanted to see it ever since I first like saw the teaser or whatever or heard about it. So I'm
It's it's a lot of fun. It it is more of the hopeful Superman, and
mm,
it is definitely more in the way of something that has like a cartoon energy, and I mean that's part of the upside, and people can say what they want, and I get it. If certain versions of characters are near and dear to your heart, yeah, that means the other ones definitely aren't going to translate. But if you're hung up on the past, you're never going to see past anything else. That's why all these guys who are like, well, bring back the Snyderverse, it's not coming back, buddy. And remember, these people love to say, oh, well, they needed to make a bigger attempt. Okay, Zack Snyder was given $70 million to finish the Snyder Cut. So
Christ.
they gave him his shot to finish things up with that one project. And you can either take it or leave it.
Well, how is it? Because I've never seen. I heard it's like
Oh,
four
you've
hours
never seen the
long.
Snyder Cut?
The Snyder cut of Justice League? No, I've
Yes.
never.
Okay,
It's
so
4 hours long. I know that.
first things first.
Mhm.
That okay, so they released it on Max during the pandemic.
Right.
And it's a good thing that they did because that movie is so fucking long. It is
Is it
4 hours
more?
and 2 minutes.
Yes, I did hear that, but is it? is it boring? Is it like,
Okay.
The
My
Joker's
humble
in it, I know
opinion,
that.
my humble opinion, I wouldn't call it boring.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is it is one of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody would release it in a theater because ideally it would have been split into two movies anyway.
Right.
But the fact that it was such a niche project that was brought to Max,
Mm-hmm.
that's why it was 4 hours. Because
Right.
nobody in a theater would really sit for that. It's kind of like the extended cuts of like the first Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's like, who the fuck's hanging around for that shit? And that shit's long as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And rightly so, where you're not gonna spend that kind of time. It's like, no, that's not happening. No fucking way. So is it boring? I don't want to say it's boring because part of the beauty of it being what it is,
Mm-hmm.
you can easily take it apart. Like, you can watch an hour and then treat it like a segment and then go back to it. You don't have to. You don't have to. Take it on as a 4 hour viewing because it's a lot.
Yeah.
But
Did you take it on as a 4-hour viewing, or did you split it up?
I split it up. You had to.
Did
And
you?
I had just so when I watched it, I had actually just received my first COVID shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was definitely going to stay home and 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 try to heal up, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that technically, because originally Justice League was supposed to be two movies. So when you look at the Snyder Cut, it really makes sense, at least if you look at it as two movies, even though it is 4 hours, you know where they were going to go. The problem is that if you've watched the theatrical cut of Justice League and then you watch the Snyder Cut, at least from a narrative standpoint, there's really not that much of a difference. They go into more about the characters during that
Mm-hmm.
time, but it is still the mother boxes and bringing Superman back from the dead and then stopping this invasion. They don't
Whoa, whoa,
really.
whoa, whoa. So they brought him. So in Zack Snyder's in his Justice League, they bring him back from the dead, Superman.
Right.
Oh shit! Now I have to watch it. God damn it! Do they show him dying, or do they just show him coming back?
Oh no, he actually dies in Dawn of Justice.
Okay, so I have to watch Dawn of Justice and then
Yes,
Snyder's Justice League, not the other Justice League.
correct.
Is Snyder's Justice League still on Max? I'll have to look and see.
It is, yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
I'm
the
gonna
Snyder
have
Cut,
to.
it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, they put too much money into it. I'm sure for them to just be like, nope.
Oh god, they totally did.
I'm gonna have to. Wait. And since we're getting a Supergirl movie next year, didn't they make a fuck? Oh no, but that was a Batgirl movie that they shelved, right? Not Supergirl.
Yeah, yeah, that was Batgirl.
Fucking somebody's got to just release that. Like,
Well, yeah, and honestly, I guess the best way to kind of look at it is, you know, and I kind of mentioned it. during a certain point with DC when they brought in like Walter Hamada, Snyder was like basically done, and then they were still trying to do like Black Adam and stuff. You had all these projects that didn't connect to anything. It was cool that they were still trying to make stuff happen, but none of these things felt connected to the original whole because they had kind of left that behind. So even in the case of Marvel, like this stuff still connects. Not well,
Right.
it's kind of mushy, if you will, but at least this stuff still kind of plays together. When Walter Hamada took over, like yes, you had like the Batman with Pattinson, and you had some other stuff, but nothing felt cohesive. Nobody knew where any of this stuff was going to go, and there wasn't seemingly a straight answer because there were so many things in that whole DCEU that didn't work as opposed to work. Like, how mind blowing is it that the only movie of that group of movies, that verse, only one movie made $1 billion and it was fucking Aquaman?
Yeah, that's hard to believe. Holy
It's
shit.
crazy. And remember, James Wan directed it. The guy behind Saw and The Conjuring made fucking Aquaman.
That is fucking weird.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it really is.
Yeah. That's why towards the end, when that DCU went the direction it did, I mean, yeah, people pining for the Snyderverse and wanting those glory days to come back. Those days weren't that glorious, guys. Got to be honest. It wasn't. I don't think Snyder, at least what they wanted to do, was the right guy for the job. And part of the problem is I think DC and Warner Brothers almost convinced themselves of their own bullshit because their mindset was, well, we're gonna keep our stuff stark and gritty, and we want to be in competition with Marvel, but we're gonna do our own thing. And it's like, yeah, but can you really have it both ways with that mindset? Because you know, Marvel, even when they try to do like gritty, it's like, no, nobody's fucking fooled, guys. Like, come on.
Right.
So in the case of when DC tried it, it was like, okay, good luck. Like, see how that plays out for you. And it was all very all over the place. Where you can't just throw stuff out there. Like it all has to kind of be connected. But it didn't help that it was pretty obvious that by 2017, 2018, they were over the Snyderverse thing. They had shit out a bunch of money. They had not got what they wanted out of it,
Yeah,
and they
definitely.
weren't. It was anytime you try something that big. I mean, let's be honest. With like Iron Man and the Avengers and Captain America and Thor, that shit could have all not worked.
Right.
But it did. And obviously, they kept going on with stuff because it did work. But let's also be clear. It's all a crapshoot. Because yeah, people love Superman, but they didn't really care for Zack Snyder's version.
Mm.
And especially considering it got really weird once you start looking at how do I put it? Once you start looking at how they were going to piece the universe together. And that also goes hand in hand with like, yeah, Batman's one of their hugest characters. Oh, by the way, we're not going to give Batman his own movie. We're going to slip him into a dual role so we can make people shit themselves over Batman and Superman being together for the first time. But it's like, yeah, but that's not really earned, especially considering you have two characters that are so big to DC. You try to treat them, you try to bring them together, but then one's going to come off like an afterthought. especially with Dawn of Justice, and you'll see the plot is so fucking convoluted. It is ridiculous how freaking long everything takes to set up and then be executed. It's stupid.
I think I'm gonna watch that tomorrow. That's my goal. Tomorrow I am watching Batman versus Superman. At least.
It has, so visually I love it. It's got a lot of great production design. You know, say what you will about Zack Snyder, but he's never he's never really let me down on visuals.
Mhm.
I've just always, I've just never felt like he's ever had the best producers to reel him in. Because some of
Mhm.
his movies just go off on like, just, whoa, like, huh?
Mm.
And, you know, I think a perfect example of that, I mean, if you really want to bring that into the fold, is Rebel Moon. So Rebel Moon was originally supposed to be a Star Wars script
Mhm.
that he pitched. And it didn't, you know, Emperor Kennedy didn't care for it, so it didn't happen.
Right. Mhm.
But at the end of the day, he he ultimately was like, okay, so Netflix is going to throw a ton of money at me. Now, I tried watching Rebel Moon. Now they split it in two because that's what he likes, and you know he does extended director's cuts and shit like that. But
Mhm.
this was basically a movie, the first one anyway, that was Magnificent Seven and Star Wars kind of cropped together. But
Mhm.
especially in the case of both those movies, especially the first one, like,
Mhm.
you know, Magnificent Seven has kind of small bits of bringing the group together.
Mhm.
Rebel Moon does that for 2 hours, where they enlist all these people to help fight,
Mhm.
and you're like, okay, this is usually a montage that's like 10 minutes. No, 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 no. We're gonna do this for 2 fucking hours. Oh, and then because the movie's 2.5 hours long, we're eventually gonna get to the meat and potatoes that we're supposed to get to, and then rush to the ending.
Oh my
Like I
god.
said, visually, some of the
Mhm.
stuff Zack Snyder's done, I love, but a lot of it plays very hollow and tiresome, especially in the case of Rebel Moon. And
Mhm.
you know, he did Army of the Dead as well as Rebel Moon 1 and 2. And him and Netflix apparently have been buddy buddy forever. But now it's like, because he's supposed to do some, I think next he's got like an MMA movie coming up,
Mhm.
something like that. And
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Snyderverse is gone, guys. You gotta let it go. It had its moments, but and let's be honest, no universe sticks around forever. You know, I mean, the first Superman movie is still highly regarded as such a watermark point, and we only got one. And Dick
Mhm.
Donner didn't come back for the second one, and he didn't come back for three or four. So you know, you got to live in the now.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh.
Fortunately or unfortunately.
Boy, we really went on tangents on this one.
Yes. This was a
And if you want to chime in and get in, because I can literally feel my voice starting to go out
yes.
real quick. we were supposed to bring up, or you were at least supposed to bring up Megan 2.0.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that because I did watch it.
I want to watch
Um,
it very badly.
all right, well, did you like the first film?
I did.
I did as well. And this film is longer, and it is now I watched the unrated cut as I believe the one that I watched. It is 2 hours and 7 seconds long. I
Wow.
forget how long the first one is, but the first
I thought
one
that was like 90
is,
minutes.
yeah, it's definitely not as long as 2.0. But there was something about 2.0 that really just kind of grabbed me. And I guess now, obviously, look, I know why people didn't like it, or at least I'm not going to say I know, but I can tell they
Right.
weren't ready for a switch. They wanted her to be Chucky, and she's not Chucky here. But that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. And I know I read there were layoffs at Blumhouse because of the performance of Megan 2.0, but nobody that worked on Megan 2.0 got laid off. But
Right.
still, I mean, don't it's not bad. Don't like let these people. The only reason that people say it's bad is because yeah, it's not what they expected. But that's not always a bad thing. Keeping it fresh, going in different directions. Yeah, okay, maybe this wasn't the best time to do it. Maybe you should have gotten, you know, a second and third movie under your belt before you did something like that.
Right.
But because now it doesn't look like they're going to go forward with a third one. But
No.
yeah, which is a shame because they kind of, you know, it's like she went from being whatever, with the first one where it was much like darker, and in this one she's giving us like lines like hold on to your vaginas.
You know what? From the trailers, I felt that. Like, I felt kind of, there was this, I don't want to say a disconnect, but like, they felt, they had like a lot more freedom to kind of play with
Hmm.
because they were like, oh, well, this was a hit and unsuspectedly, we can do whatever the hell we want. It's like, yeah, good luck with that, guys. And sure enough, it's like, nope, that ain't tracking.
Well, that's the thing in a sense. By doing what you did with that movie, you're alienating your audience because they're not expecting that type of a movie. You know, I mean, see, but this just shows the disconnect, as you say it, between like Hollywood executives and the general viewing public. Th- Like they don't know what their target demographic wants, or they don't know what their demographic is. They're
Well,
just throwing stuff out there and
well,
hoping
even if
something
they do
sticks.
know, I think it's important to kind of, you know, the first movie is such its own animal, and that's probably why it's as good as it is, or as enjoyable. And
Right.
it obviously makes some, cases of like AI and technology, but also you still got a sense of like fun, and there was like some horror aspects and stuff to it. So I could tell just from the trailer, like I saw that and I knew in a heartbeat. I was like, wow, That's, you know what I mean. That's one of those things. It's like, oh wow, okay, that they went for it in a direction where they thought, okay, we're going to up the ante on everything, but we're going to change this, and the fans will come along for the ride. And part of what made the first one so fun is that you were able to pull off the ideal of a killer robot. When everybody like joked about it and was like, "This is stupid," like it's like, "Oh no, like you got a good story here. This is really fucked up." And then it turns around, and just from the trailers, I'm like, "What is?" You know what I mean? For me, it was like almost watching the difference of like a wannabe Terminator and then a wannabe Terminator 2.
Right. And
Where you
yeah,
did this
no, and again,
upgrading. In the case of Terminator 2, like they never really lost sight of what the whole story is supposed to be. This is more a case of like, oh, let's just throw a bunch of shit on the wall and see what sticks.
yeah, right, exactly, and that's the point. But I mean, I feel bad. I mean, because I genuinely like it. It was a good time for me, and like the end of that movie. And dude, I get emotional and I cry at a lot of shit. But I was bawling like a little bitch at the end of that fucking movie, and I do
Really?
not. I should, yeah. And it was just like, wow, like this is like, when the movie ended, I'm like, I know why people, like, I get it. I understand why people didn't like it. And my thing is why why do
Why
that?
did they take that
Why?
route?
Right, because not everybody's going to, like, give it that chance, or, I mean, there's a few people I'm sure that liked it, and that see what it was going for and accept it. But like the general viewing public isn't gonna, they don't want that.
No, no. And when push comes to shove, your audience is going to be your biggest barometer.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm
100%.
gonna have to try to check that out this weekend.
Yeah, if you get a chance, give it a shot. I'm curious to know what you think of it. And I am
No, I'll let you.
tomorrow. No, I was gonna say tomorrow I'm banging out Batman v Superman, just because now I have to see him die. I have to see him die.
It's Batman v Superman has its bright spots, but it's very drawn out and it is a very convoluted story.
And
Very convoluted.
it's like 3 hours long, right?
It's lengthy,
Yeah,
totally.
uh yeah, that's mm. Dude, so if I like so let's say I sit down and watch Batman versus Superman. Well, I'm not gonna sit down, I'll be on my fucking stepper. I ain't gonna sit for fucking 7 hours. That would be like 7 hours of movie watching if I watched both of them. And I just don't think I can do both of them back to back. Oh my god.
Yeah, your ass would go numb and implode.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Damn. Whew.
Oh, okay. My voice is going out.
Yes. I think we're spent.
Oh yes, in a good way.
Yes. Well, I guess until we'll uh we'll discuss and think of things. I was going to try, because there's a movie that's out now called The Ugly Stepsister.
I heard about it. I've been wanting to see it.
I was gonna see if maybe we could get the director to come on and maybe chat him up and see about him, just because I'm curious about the movie, and I think, because I don't know if we'd be able to get any of the actual cast, but I think I might be able to pull the director. I'm gonna look into that and see, because it just might be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, it's on Shudder right now. I'll have to check that out too, and I've been wanting to. So
Yeah, I saw that. That's why, because I heard about it. I looked up the thing and it popped up today. So yeah, I'm gonna look into that too. I think, but we'll see how it goes.
indeed,
Yeah, but until next time.
indeed,
Really
it's been a good one.
Yes, it has been, and we will see everyone later.